Hello. Welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. If you want more content, you can follow me on Patreon. I will be uploading more content on there that will be exclusive. The link is in the description. Please support me. 1SW001. Ace was arrested. Before the Summit War, new book asking for flower evaluation tickets. Next chapter. Advertisement. See Circle Calendar, 1520. A prominent news image grew wings and spread rapidly, shaking the whole world and even all forces including New World. The second captain of the Whitebeard Pirates, Pottercast D. Ace, was successfully captured by Marine. Then, just one day later, Marine officials announced that they would disclose the execution process of Pottercast D. Ace to the whole world. Once the news spread, the Four Seas, the New World, and even the various kingdoms, and the underground world are all shaking. Hey. Damn, what is Marine kidding? Public execution of 4 Emperors Whitebeard's subordinates. Doesn't this mean that Marine publicly declares war on that monster? Oh my god, Marine is going to break the balance with the 4 Emperors. What the hell is going on in Marine's mind? It's fine if he wins, but if he loses, annoy that man. What will we do with the kingdom near the monster sea? It will definitely happen. Destroyed by that furious monster. Tisk. Marine actually publicly declared war on the 4 Emperors, ha. This world is really getting more and more interesting. No, this news must be delivered. No, the whole world should be boiling right now. I believe that I am definitely not the only one looking forward to this feast, right, dragon? Similar scenes are happening all over the world. Marine publicly announced the execution of the captain of the second team of the Whitebeard Pirates. In almost everyone's eyes, this is Marine's determination to break the New World pattern and the balance between the 4 Emperors. This time Marine is determined to openly deal with the veteran 4 Emperors Whitebeard, the monster who has been dubbed the strongest man in the world. Advertisement. However, I am afraid that everyone, including his forces, never dreamed that there was another shocking secret hidden behind this public execution. At this time, the day before Summit War, Naval Headquarters. Shichibukai Call Room. FK, you Marines are not joking, are you really going to fight that monster? The gigantic Moria hit her head to the ceiling when she got up, her face full of disbelief at this moment. Called by Shichibukai, Moria originally thought it was an ordinary meeting, but the entire naval headquarters outside, who were preparing for a large-scale battle, undoubtedly announced, Marine is serious this time. Marine is really getting ready for a fight with the 4 Emperors Whitebeard. And the location is the naval headquarters under their feet now. As Shichibukai, since you enjoy the benefits of the title of Shichibukai, you must perform your duties. Just wait here before the war begins. A Marine Vice Admiral frowned. These guys are so arrogant. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, it would be hard for him to believe that one of the 3 forces that maintain the balance of this world is actually this kind of guy. Damn, what are you kidding? That's Whitebeard. Do you know how strong that monster is? Moria's voice is a little shrill. As a young man who fought Kaido, one of the 4 Emperors, Moria has experienced the power of despair firsthand. Advertisement. Even so, Kaido, who is known as the strongest man in the world and one of the legendary pirates, Whitebeard, who is on par with Roger the Pirate King, what kind of terrifying monster? That's not human at all, is it? Moria felt her scalp tingle just thinking about it. These bastards. Marine Vice Admiral couldn't help gritting his teeth. At this moment, a bloated, 3-meter-tall man wearing an admiral's costume who kept eating and drinking, wiped his mouth with grease and stood up. Sir, can I go out and pee? He. This guy is the new Shichibukai to succeed Sand Crocodile. The name seems to be Blackbeard. Teach, is this guy really a Shichibukai? Seeing Blackbeard's innocent and harmless appearance, Marine Vice Admiral frowned, and said with disgust, go. Thank you sir, he. Blackbeard nodded quickly, and left without forgetting to reach for a bottle of rum, continuing to maintain a stupid image. Then, shortly after Blackbeard stepped out of the Shichibukai conference room, Blackbeard came to a room where Marine had been cleaned by his own men long ago, and his eyes showed a completely different ambition from just now. Captain, these Marines have been cleaned up. According to your request, we have secretly obtained a Marine warship. Well done, Badgers. Thief ha. Why Captain, they sent most of the Marines outside to prepare for the battle. The Marines here are all weak and pitiful guys. Badgers was already strong before joining Blackbeard, and he claimed to be a fighting champion. Naturally, ordinary Marines could not deal with it. While talking, he threw a Marine corpse aside. Advertisement. Hearing this, Blackbeard nodded and said, since the ship is in hand, it's time for us to act. Operation. Captain, the Marine here seems to be going to a decisive battle with the Whitebeard Pirates. Where are we going at this time? The speaker was Blackbeard's sniper Van Orca. Van Orca stood in this room. Compared with the tall Badgers and Blackbeard, his tall and thin body was as inconspicuous as a bamboo pole in the shadows. Blackbeard stretched out his arms, and said with a sinister smile, of course it is to gather more companions. You said that Marine is now focusing most of his attention on fighting Whitebeard. What will happen if we slip away to Impel down at this time? Where is the most vicious guy in the world imprisoned? Thief ha. Van Oka immediately understood Blackbeard's ambition when he heard the words, and said, "It turns out that the captain paid attention to this. Sure enough, all of this is an arrangement of fate. Impel down. It seems that there will be many good guys joining us again, way ha 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 ha. Okay, those guys should be good. But, I hope they are enough. Hope. Enough." Van Oka was taken aback when he heard this. Blackbeard smiled, with fear flashing in his eyes, and said, "You don't really think that the Whitebeard Pirates are just Whitebeard, do you? Otherwise, Lousy wouldn't have stolen the fruit and left the Whitebeard Pirates immediately." As he said that, Blackbeard recalled his time on the Whitebeard Pirates. He thought of a figure, and gritted his teeth. If that monster that hides deeply also comes, Marine alone may not be able to help him achieve his goal of capturing the shock fruit. Otherwise, at Impel down, he definitely wouldn't be planning to sneak in right now. 002. Traveler, Bai Ye. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Summit War started a day ago. The vibrations of various forces in the world did not stop, but continued to intensify. Originally, Marine publicly announced that he would execute Bosca d'Ace in front of the whole world, and most forces believed that Marine was a signal that he was determined to break the Four Emperors pattern. Unexpectedly, after Naval Headquarters announced the news, within a few days, it began to continuously mobilize troops, warships, and combat resources from all over the world. All these signs indicate Marine is going to get serious. Marine intends to fight an unprecedented war in Naval Headquarters with the Four Emperors pirate group led by Whitebeard, one of the Four Emperors, known as the strongest man in the world. And no matter whether you win or lose this battle, it is destined to overturn the existing structure of this world. This is a large-scale war that is destined to affect countless powerful Marines and pirates on the bright side, underground, and so on. So the eyes of the world are now on Naval Headquarters. Thinking, guessing, wondering, what exactly is Marine going to do? How to face the wrath of a man known as the strongest man in the world. At the same time, New World, one of the Four Emperors. Whitebeard Sea Territory, an isolated island surrounded by the sea. Whitebeard, this guy. Bai Ye lay on the beach, loosened his clenched fists and sighed. He actually believed that Whitebeard guy was going to take him to Naval Headquarters. I've known this guy for more than 10 years, but I didn't expect to fall for this bastard at such a critical moment. Does that guy really not know what will happen if he rushes to Naval Headquarters? Advertisement. Yes. The reason why Bai Ye would be so angry is simple. He is actually a time traveler, and it has been 13 years since he traveled to this world. He didn't start his own pirate group, that would be too much trouble. So when Bai Ye was thinking about his next plan, he met the Whitebeard Pirates who came to the island for supplies. The Whitebeard Pirates stayed on the island where Bai Ye lived for about 3 months. During this period of time, Bai Ye had 2 harvests in life. One is friendship, the second is to become drinking buddies with Whitebeard. So after some thinking, Bai Ye chose to join the Whitebeard Pirates while Whitebeard drank and promised not to give him a son. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, 13 years have passed. In the past 13 years, the two have become close friends from drinking friends. It can be said that Whitebeard is Bai Ye's first real friend in this pirate world. But now, this stupid friend actually asked Naval Headquarters to rescue Ace despite his persuasion. That idiot, as a time traveler, Bai Ye knows very well what the end will be for this Whitebeard if he passes by like this. Damn it. Bai Ye looked at the empty sea around him. He knew that Whitebeard must have made all the preparations, and the island he was on now was no different. After complaining, Bai Ye opened a data panel that only he could see. As a time traveler, Bai Ye naturally has cheats. And his cheat. Fire Dragon Slayer Magic Template, Proficiency, 100. Thunder Dragon Slayer Magic Template, Proficiency, 100. Poison Dragon Slayer Magic Template, Proficiency, 100. His main ability is the Dragon Slayer magic from the world of Fairy Tale. The function of his cheat system is actually very simple. There are 2 in total. Advertisement. One is to open a power system that does not exist in One Piece world, and become Bai Ye's power in the form of a template, such as the Dragon Slayer magic in Fairy Tale world. As long as the progress is unlocked, Bai Ye's power will become stronger. Although Bai Ye has not gained much fame in the past 13 years, it is because he has been paddling in the Whitebeard Pirates. Before he knew it, even that bastard Whitebeard didn't know his strength. Looking at the entire Whitebeard Pirates, he was already no less inferior to his stupid friend Whitebeard. As for another function, it has not been unlocked yet and is in an unlocked state. Even after 13 years, Bai Ye did not find out what this unlocked means. Of course, as time goes by, Bai Ye thinks it doesn't matter anymore. He is now going to try to see if he can leave the island with his bare hands. Summit War, he will definitely intervene. Not just for the idiot friend Whitebeard, but for the entire Whitebeard Pirates. What the Whitebeard Pirates mean to him, after so many years, can be regarded as a family with stronger blood than blood. At this time, Bai Ye thought about leaving the deserted island under his feet. A small ship with the logo of the Whitebeard Pirates suddenly appeared on the distant coastline. Bai Ye looked along the blue sea. Seeing the sign on the small ship, he didn't hesitate. The next moment, Bai Ye got up and disappeared in place. As for the beach in place, what was left was a deep cracked mark, representing the terrifying physique that Bai Ye has now. Hung. On small boats. Bai Ye's figure fell, and the power brought by his terrifying physique also left a sunken crack on the deck. Looking over, seeing the figure above, Bai Ye smiled and said, "It is you. Brother Bai Ye. Captain Saki said you might be here, so let me come here to find you. Finally found you." Weibo sniffed his nose, held a naginata, and saw Bai Ye the moment. 2 lines of tears burst out immediately. Advertisement. In Weibo's eyes, Bai Ye is his big brother in his life. If his big brother hadn't found him 10 years ago, I'm afraid he would never have the opportunity to meet Papa Whitebeard in his life. Therefore, no matter what big brother Bai Ye says, he will listen. Seeing Weibo bursting into tears and snot, Bai Ye took a quick step back and said, "Okay, since you're here, take me away quickly, or you may run out of time." "Yes, brother Bai Ye." Weibo nodded quickly, knowing that now was not the time to waste time. Bai Ye looked at Weibo, who was manipulating the boat with strange force. A flash of memory flashed in his eyes. Edward Weeble. This is Edward Weibo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea who claimed to be Whitebeard's son after Whitebeard's death in the original book. 10 years ago, Bai Ye from the Whitebeard Pirates found this guy while he was out resupplying an island. Considering Whitebeard's character of accepting his son as a madman, Bai Ye brought the simple-minded Weibo back to the Whitebeard Pirates. Although Weibo has been calling Whitebeard's father, for Whitebeard, except for the privilege of Bai Ye, all the crew members are his sons, daughters, and family members, so there is no misunderstanding at all. 10 years later, Weibo is now also a member of the Whitebeard Pirates. And because of his good strength, Weibo got the position of vice captain of the 4th team of Whitebeard Pirates. Of course, there is another layer of relationship. Bai Ye is to make Weibo keep an eye on Blackbeard. Due to Whitebeard's character, if Blackbeard does not cross the line, Bai Ye can act as if nothing happened, but since Blackbeard wants to cross the line, he must pay the price. By the way, brother Bai Ye, Captain Saki still has a letter for me to hand over to you. Letter. Seeing Weibo stepping out a letter from his arms, Bai Ye was slightly taken aback. P.S. The protagonist has traveled through more than 10 years, and naturally some things have changed. Here is Blackbeard got the dark fruit, but did not kill the 4th Captain Sage. The reason is the existence of Weibo. Also don't say why the protagonist hasn't killed Blackbeard directly in the past 10 years. Consider Whitebeard's character here. Bai Ye is Whitebeard's friend, but Whitebeard cannot let his son be killed for no reason. Killing relatives is an absolute felony in the Whitebeard Pirates. Another point is that Blackbeard hid very deeply before seeing the dark fruit. The performance is too honest, and where is the dark fruit obtained, and the specific time point is not written in the original book. It is impossible for the protagonist to do nothing for 10 years, just look at a Blackbeard. 003. A letter from a friend. Whitebeard new book asks for flower review tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The other side. Marine HQ in preparation for battle. Marshal's office here. Sengoku looked out the window at the rapidly mobilized naval headquarters, his eyes gleaming with determination. Use Ace as bait and naval headquarters as engagement location. In this battle, Sengoku knew clearly that many of these marine soldiers outside would die, and the headquarters might also suffer heavy losses. However, everything that seems to be extremely risky represents Marine's determination to bury the man known as the strongest man in the world here. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Sengoku turned around, and it was the Crane Vice Admiral, who was known as the Great Staff, walked in. Sengoku, the naval headquarters vice admiral scattered around the world have basically been summoned back, and Kazaru's pacifist responsible for the research and development of the science unit is also on the way to be secretly transported. Crane put the documents on Sengoku's desk and looked at Sengoku. With these powers, we can be more confident. Sengoku nodded. As a comrade in arms for many years, Suru naturally understands Sengoku's character. She asked, Sengoku, how confident are you in this battle? Grasp. Speaking of this, Sengoku hesitated, and after a while, Sengoku looked in a direction, which was the direction where Shichibukai was. If those troublesome guys can do their part, they should be sure. Shichibukai. Seeing the direction of Sengoku's gaze, Suru's expression darkened. Marine knows Shichibukai guys very well. Although they were compulsorily called to participate in this summit war, these guys are definitely fishing in troubled waters. If you let them deal with some little guys, these guys will definitely be more than happy to work hard, but if they really deal with Whitebeard, sorry, they are definitely better than one. Advertisement. After all, the essence of these guys is that they are pirates who do all kinds of evil. By the way, Sengoku, I have some bad news for you. Bad news. Sengoku was taken aback. Could there be worse news than the news that Whitebeard has left? Then, it turns out, there was indeed worse news. Sengoku heard the bad news from Crane in the office. Sengoku couldn't help clenching his fists tightly, his joints turned white from the trembling. Tomorrow naval headquarters will start a war with the Whitebeard Pirates. There are celestial dragons who want to watch the battle in the Holy Land. When Sengoku heard the news, he wanted to kill the people from the world government. The war is about to begin. Celestial dragons want to watch the battle at this juncture. Is this a joke about a war in which hundreds of thousands of people will die? And once the war starts, who has the time to shut down some shit celestial dragons? Although Sengoku was extremely angry, Sengoku soon calmed down. Because he knew that celestial dragons must have used the world government relationship. No matter how angry he was, he couldn't refuse. And now that the battle is imminent, he doesn't have so much time to waste. Damn it, tell Pelusalino to pay attention to those celestial dragons when fighting Whitebeard. If these celestial dragons die in the battle with Whitebeard, it will be a huge trouble. Yeah, Suru looked at Sengoku who had calmed down, and nodded. However, at this moment, a marine rushed in to report the news that Sengoku's anger had just been suppressed and came up again. Something happened to Shichibukai. Advertisement. Blackbeard took advantage of the fact that the marines in the headquarters were preparing for battle, and killed the marine who was guarding the warships, snatched a warship and sneaked away from naval headquarters. The second Sengoku heard the news, on this day, all the marines outside who were preparing for battle heard an angry roar from the marshal's office. Blackbeard teach. At the same time, New World. On a small boat, Bai Ye opened the envelope, only to find that what Sage asked Wable to give him turned out to be a letter from Whitebeard. It says friend Bai Ye personally. Seeing these words, Bai Ye's heart sank. With his knowledge of Whitebeard, if Whitebeard hadn't had a premonition of something important, he would never have written in this tone. In other words, Whitebeard may have already woken up. With a heavy heart, Bai Ye continued to read. Bai Ye boy, I hope you don't blame the old man for keeping you on that island. This is the conclusion of the old man after several times of thinking. Single quote. You should think that the old man didn't let you participate in this battle because he thought you were not strong enough. Actually, the old man has always known your secret. Well, surprise, right? Single quote. Bai Ye, although you have never been exposed in front of the old man, your appearance has not changed at all in the past 10 years. It feels very accurate. Single quote. Originally, when you read this letter, there is a high probability that the old man will never see you again, but if someone gives you the letter in advance without authorization, it doesn't matter if you read it. Single quote. The reason why the old man left you there is very simple. The old man wants to ask you to stay and guard the old man's sea area. Single quote. Advertisement. If the old man can come back alive, the old man will take the initiative to apologize to you, but if the old man does not come back, the old man would like to ask you to help take care of Marco and the others. They are all my family members. I'm afraid you will have to work hard. Also, I'm afraid I will trouble you to find the old man's devil fruit and eat him. This is a devil fruit with powerful power to influence the world. I don't want the successor to be a vicious guy. This is the old man's and a wish and a final apology for the trouble your friend took in taking care of the old man's sons. Single quote. After all, as a remnant of the old era, the old man should hand over the new era to young people like you. Bai Ye kid, gurgling. Single quote. That's all for the content of the letter. There is still some ink left at the end. It should be that Whitebeard hesitated to continue writing. But Bai Ye read the letter. Bai Ye has fully understood all of Whitebeard's plans. As the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard possesses a boldness and a mind that ordinary people cannot match. After more than 10 years, Bai Ye has no doubts about this. In other words, Whitebeard is ready. Even if you die in battle, take it into consideration. However, it is precisely because of this. He's the one who needs to hear that bastard Whitebeard himself apologize. Wable, how fast will our ship be to naval headquarters? Putting the letter in his pocket, Wable said to his elder brother whose aura he had never seen before. Brother Bai Ye, it will take about 2 days. 2 days. Bai Ye thought of Whitebeard leading the pirate group to naval headquarters. The palms can't help but clench tightly. 004. Marine meeting before Summit War, new book asks for flower review tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. See Circle Calendar, 1520. This year is destined to have many sensational world events, which attracted the attention of the whole world. It is undoubtedly the biggest war that Marine will start with the pirate group led by Whitebeard, one of the veteran 4 emperors, who is hailed by the world as the strongest man in the world. This war is definitely the largest marine and pirate war since the opening of the Great Pirate Era. It is no exaggeration to say that no matter what the result is, this is a war destined to change the world pattern. After all, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate is recognized by the world as the most likely candidate to become the next One Piece after Roger's era. Time began to pass quickly. At this time, there are only 2 hours left until Summit War begins. Under the instruction of Sengoku, Naval Headquarters secretly opened the special alloy iron wall developed by the Marine Science Corps. As long as the Whitebeard Pirates dare to come over, then the iron wall rises, and the Whitebeard Pirates will have no possibility of retreating like a turtle in an urn. In addition to that, the pacifist forces, Naval Headquarters all elite vice admiral, 3 admirals, trained marines all over the world and more. Both have been called back to Naval Headquarters. It's all about the preparation. Naturally, It was to meet the man known as the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. Summit War opened an hour and a half ago. Advertisement. Hey, do you think that Whitebeard guy is really coming? In the combat conference room, the speaker was Kizaru with his legs crossed on the table. He glanced at the conference room where everyone was looking at, spread his hands and said, "Don't look at me like that, it's terrible. I just want an ordinary second under Whitebeard team captain, how can you send out a monster of Whitebeard's level? I think everyone has this question, right?" After speaking, Kizaru, who was wearing a beige suit, looked at Sengoku who was sitting at the main seat. Sengoku saw Vice Admiral and others in the combat conference room looking over together, and there was a table at the end that belonged to Shichibukai. Sengoku put down the document in his hand and said, "I will announce the reason to the whole world before execution, and you will understand by then. What is certain right now is that the Whitebeard Pirates will definitely come, but what is uncertain is how and when the Whitebeard Pirates will appear. According to our marine informant in New World, the Whitebeard Pirates will come in a few days. They left their waters a few days ago and are currently missing." Missing. The person who spoke was the elite Vice Admiral Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral. Sengoku nodded, looked around, confirmed the authenticity of the news and said, "Besides, this is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that the Whitebeard Pirates convened before the disappearance of the Whitebeard Pirates. It can be confirmed that they are mysterious together with the Whitebeard Pirates. The number of remaining pirates including disappearance, 43 in total." What? 43 pirates? So, besides the Whitebeard Pirates, there are 43 other pirates coming too. Some Vice Admiral couldn't help exclaiming. 43 pirates. Plus the Whitebeard Pirates led by Whitebeard, one of the 4 emperors. Just thinking about this lineup makes one's scalp tingle. Almost immediately, they understood why Marshal Sengoku had called this meeting. 43 pirates. Huh, that's okay. Evil will be eliminated by justice, not to mention 43, even 100 pirates, they must be buried here. The person who was speaking now is Akainu, one of the 3 admirals. Sakazuki. But the corners of the mouths of the people in the combat conference room twitched collectively, and they silently did not answer. After all, in addition to the Whitebeard Pirates, there are 43 other pirates coming to attack naval headquarters. It is already a huge battle. No, it is very likely to be the largest war in history since the beginning of the Age of Exploration. If there are 57 more pirates, they admit that they don't have the arrogance of Akainu. After all, Akainu is mad, and as a general, he can't do anything casually. Therefore, for ordinary pirates who have a huge number, suffering must be their mainstay. Advertisement. Hey, Whitebeard has gathered so many people, it seems that they are going to make a serious move. I am really looking forward to it, but they can disappear under Marine's nose. It seems that Marine's eyes are sometimes not very good. Quote. A playful voice sounded, and many Vice Admiral Marines looked a little unhappy when they heard it, and looked at the source of the voice. The talking figure on the Shichibukai table, wearing a pink feather coat, is none other than Doflamingo, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Seeing that it was Doflamingo, Marine's eyes showed anger. A mere Shichibukai. It is already a great honor for Shichibukai to have Shichibukai participate in such a confidential meeting. It is fine for Doflamingo not to provide any information, but he still has the mood to ridicule them. If it was normal, they would definitely not bear this tone. Hey, don't look at me like that, I'm really scared. In the face of many hostile eyes, Doflamin spread his hands and said unhurriedly. In fact, most of Doflamingo's attention is actually on Sengoku. He knew that the most powerful person in this conference room was Sengoku. As long as Sengoku didn't speak, no matter how presumptuous he was, no one would really dare to do anything. In fact, Doflamingo actually guessed right. Sengoku didn't speak, and the other Marine Vice Admiral, although angry, at most just stared at him a few times. After all, Sengoku, an old guy, is very clear about the particularity of his Shichibukai identity, and he still has a secret mission of the world government. Thinking of this, Doflamingo couldn't help but glance at Moria who was eating and drinking. This kind of guy who can be defeated with a reward of 30 million really loses Shichibukai's face. No wonder the world government decided to take advantage of this war to replace Shichibukai. After all, Shichibukai is the pirate chosen by the world government, and it is also the face of the world government. Naturally, it is impossible for the person who was defeated by the pirate with a bounty of 30 million to continue to serve as the face. Whitebeard, and 43 pirates, this battle, no, this is already a deadly war, damn it. While eating and drinking, Moria was thinking in her mind. Naturally, Moria couldn't imagine that the biggest danger was not from the monster Whitebeard pirates, but from her own people, and this person was sitting on the same table as herself. Advertisement. This meeting lasted for a long time, about an hour or so. Near Ace execution begins. Sengoku just ended the meeting. But at the end of the meeting, Sengoku revealed the bad news that Tsuru had brought him earlier. In this battle, there are celestial dragons from the Holy Land Mariajoy watching the battle. What? My god, celestial dragons. As the world government taking war as a joke. Hey, celestial dragons, is it really okay to come at this time? Not only many vice admirals' complexion changed, this time even Aokiji had a headache. War is no child's play, not to mention that this time the opponent is not an ordinary pirate, their opponent is Whitebeard, who is known as one of the emperors of the sea in New World and the strongest man in the world. If the celestial dragons came to watch the battle, the people present at the meeting thought with their feet, and knew that these guys were purely here to help. More importantly, the marine government still can't refuse the demands of these bastards. Damn it. Rao Akainu, his expression changed when he heard that the celestial dragons were coming. Subsequently, the entire conference room dispersed during the discussion. At the same time, no one noticed that after one of the Shichibukai, Boa Hancock, known as the most beautiful woman in the world, left, she didn't have any fear even facing the attack of the entire Whitebeard pirate group, but when she heard the word celestial dragons, her pupils a trace of fear emerged from the depths. But this trace of fear was well hidden, and no one noticed it. In this way, the battle meeting came to an end. At this time, since the opening of the Age of Discovery, the largest war in history, the Summit War has started, less than an hour. 005. Summit War, kickoff. New book asks for flower evaluation ticket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... And on the eve of the largest war in history since the beginning of the Age of Great Voyages. An important character ignored by everyone has quietly arrived at the destination. Impel Down. This is the world's largest prison, Impel Down, built in the deep sea by the world government and the marine government. This large prison is located in the first half of the Grand Line, in the deep sea of the Calm Belt, surrounded by countless sea kings. It is a prison that is said to be absolutely impossible to escape. The interior of the prison is divided into 6 floors, and each floor is an extremely terrifying punishment hell, which can accommodate criminals from all over the world. The higher the number of layers, the more powerful the criminals in custody. The purpose of Blackbeard's coming here is naturally to be imprisoned on the 6th floor, the group of criminals at the top of the world, known as the most vicious guys of this era. Captain, we came in as a marine. Passing through the gate of justice on the huge marine warship, Badgers smiled ferociously, and then Badgers looked at a boy glaring at his captain. Straw Hat Boy, don't think about our captain, don't forget, we brought you in Impel Down. Blackbeard smiled, stood on the deck and waved his hands indifferently, as if he didn't see the anger of the Straw Hat Boy, and said with a smile, don't talk so much to our allies, Badgers, there is something wrong in a place like Impel Down. A helper will be more powerful, and as long as the Straw Hat Boy is not stupid, he will understand this truth, even if he wants to seek revenge from Lousy, he has to wait until he leaves, right? Straw Hat Boy, thief ha 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 ha. With that said, Blackbeard ignored the Straw Hat Kid. Originally, he planned to take Badgers and others to sneak into Impel Down, but he didn't expect to run into the Straw Hat Boy on the way the day before. Blackbeard didn't plan to take Luffy with him at first, but thinking of the danger in Impel Down, if he gave the enemy in Impel Down an extra target, wouldn't he be safe? And the Straw Hat Boy's purpose and his purpose are both the 6th floor. There is no conflict of interest between the two. Advertisement. Thus, a short-lived alliance was born. Of course, there's one thing Blackbeard didn't tell the Straw Hats. If the ace guy is the key to starting this Marine Whitebeard war, then the Marine side will definitely make preparations for the transfer in advance. An old fox of Sengoku's level is very smart. Underestimating that kind of old fox will suffer a lot. ... Naval Headquarters. At this point, it has been less than half an hour since Summit War started. Sengoku looked at the calm outside the big headquarters, and Sengoku's heart became more and more dignified. He knew that Whitebeard guy must have made a move. Whitebeard must have been prepared for the biggest war yet. The calm weather at this time, in Sengoku's eyes, is a sign before the storm is about to come. The calmer it is, the more shocking the waves will be. He knows that Whitebeard guy all too well. Marshal Sengoku, the man has been brought. At this time, a tall man wearing a black Impel Down coat, with 2 horns on his head and a gas mask came in. The man is followed by 2 men in gas masks, guarding a struggling youth trapped in seastone handcuffs. If there are members of the Whitebeard Pirates, they will definitely recognize the identity of the young man. It was the captain of Whitebeard's second team, Potter Cass D. Ace. Advertisement. Sengoku turned around, looked at the struggling Ace with oppressive eyes, he raised his head and said, thank you, Magellan, let you come and run yourself. Nothing. Marshal Sengoku, is this man indispensable in order to deal with Whitebeard? Because of the mask, the voice was a lot heavier, and the man who revealed the identity of Magellan, the director of the Impel Down prison, said with some hesitation. No wonder Magellan cared so much. After all, Magellan has never seen the prisoner that Marshal Sengoku entrusted him to personally escort. Don't forget, he is the highest-ranking director responsible for the safety and security of the entire Impel Down. His status and strength are completely equal to Marine Admiral. He can personally escort prisoners. Is this common? No, it's almost impossible. After all, Magellan still understands those vicious monsters on the 6th floor, but in Magellan's eyes, Ace is just a captain under Whitebeard, and Marshal Sengoku values it so much. This is obviously not in line with common sense. Yes, he is this war. No, It should be said that his blood is something that this war cannot do without. Sengoku responded positively to Magellan and said, I know what you want to ask, but right now Naval Headquarters will start his execution soon, then you will understand. Well, I know about Marshal Sengoku, but since Marine is asking to fight Whitebeard, let me stay. Magellan heard that Sengoku and others would explain the reason, so he didn't ask any more questions, but turned his eyes to the tense Naval Headquarters and said. Along the way, he has seen the situation at Naval Headquarters, and if he stays, Magellan believes that at least 1 point will definitely increase the chances of winning. Seeing Sengoku's hesitation, Magellan stretched out his hand and said, I know the Marshal is worried about Impel down. Please rest assured Marshal Sengoku. I won't stay in this war for long. Impel down is currently being maintained by someone. Let those guys be honest. Half a day is totally enough. Hearing this, Sengoku looked up at Magellan, thinking that the strength of Admiral, who was indistinguishable from friend and foe, was definitely comparable to Admiral. Sengoku thought for a while and nodded. With Magellan, a poisonous fruit capable user, participating in the battle, he will definitely play a key role in this battle. Subsequently, Sengoku had a separate room prepared for Magellan. After all, Magellan's fruit ability can easily hurt his own people, and it is best not to accidentally hurt his own people before Magellan takes action. Advertisement. Then, Sengoku looked at Ace. At this moment, he thought of Garp, and an old rival. However, when Sengoku thought of his opponent in this war, the light in Sengoku's eyes became extremely determined. It's not known exactly where Whitebeard will come from though. But once the execution begins, that Whitebeard guy will definitely show up. But, before then, Sengoku ignored Ace's struggle, but ordered someone to bring Ace to the execution platform. Sengoku came to the high platform prepared earlier in the morning. Here, there are the long-awaited Marine 3 admirals, dozens of vice admirals from the headquarters, and the execution platform is surrounded by hundreds of thousands of elite Marine soldiers who have rushed from all over the world in just a few days. Looking at the entire world, this lineup is absolutely terrifying. Then, taking a slow, deep breath, Sengoku pulled out of his office pocket a phone bug that connects all over the world. Announced loudly. This is about the public execution of Potter Cass-D. Ace Marine, captain of Whitebeard's second team. Kick off the summit war. P.S. Magellan will come over, and if he wants to explain it, because of the appearance of the protagonist, the plot has changed from the original. Just like Blackbeard didn't kill the captain of the fourth team, and Wable's joining the Whitebeard Pirates will cause some butterfly effects. Of course, the biggest problem is that it doesn't make much sense to follow the original work together. 006. The successor of the worst bloodline, shocking the world, the war begins. Ask for flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Summit War. This is destined to be the largest and most tragic war in the history of Marine and Pirates since the beginning of the Pirate era. At this time, the Summit War was announced by Sengoku. The prologue. Opened. Oh, what the hell is up with that bastard Sengoku, but forget it, it seems that the mystery is about to be solved. On the left side below the execution platform, at the position of Shichibukai, Doflamingo looked up at Ace on the execution platform, interlocking his fingers, and the corners of his mouth were full of anticipation. He is completely different from some ordinary guys in the world. As the only person in Shichibukai who has transactions with the four emperors, Doflamingo knows exactly what the four emperors are. Those people, no, guys who can already be described as inhuman monsters will not easily move out of their own territory. However, Sengoku just grabbed one of Whitebeard's captains and asserted that Whitebeard would lead the pirates to attack. Is it too rash? But Sengoku, an old fox, is determined again. If there's nothing tricky about it, Doflamingo won't believe it at all. Damn it, these Marines are really for real, damn it, my lord has to think about retreating. Moria next to Doflamingo saw Marine's lineup that could be described as terrifying, and her face was ugly. The strongest man in the world, that man is really exciting. The tone was flat, and the speaker was Hawkeye Mahawk. The current number 1 swordsman in the world, the apex pursued by all swordsmen in the world. The purpose of Hawkeye accepting Shichibukai's summoning is actually very simple. He just wants to see the distance between Shichibukai and the recognized world peak. As for this war, Hawkeye has almost no real intention of contributing. The same is true for the Empress. Hancock became one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and what she coveted was not the legal plundering privilege of the world government. More, Hancock is to protect Hydra Island. Advertisement. It can be said that when Sengoku kicked off this prelude, Shichibukai already had their own plans. On the high platform, Summit War is 5 minutes away from starting. Sengoku asked in a low voice about Tsuru Vice Admiral Garp. Sengoku set his sights on placing it in the naval headquarters square, and the 4 sides can broadcast the sound and shadow phone bugs of the situation to the whole world. The screen opened, and Sengoku confirmed to Marine, who was in charge of the sound and shadow phone bug, that there was no problem, and slowly put the phone bug that he took out earlier in the morning in front of his mouth. Afterwards, Sengoku slowly faced the whole world. Tell the true face of this public execution that is enough to explode the news of the entire world. It's not the captain of Whitebeard's second team, Pottercast D Ace, that Marine is going to execute. The true face of Marine's execution is open to the whole world. Its real target is Gul D. Roger, who bears the one piece known by the world. Gul D. Roger left in this world, and inherits his most evil bloodline, Gul D. Ace. This news, from Sengoku's narration, Roger's blood slowly uttered, and then someone in the whole world reacted. Surprisingly, including hundreds of thousands of Marines in the entire naval headquarters, they were silent for more than 10 seconds. After that, there are 4 seas, Sabayati Archipelago, New World, Underground Dark Forces, etc. Countless people gradually came to their senses, their minds were buzzing, and a bomb was dropped on their ears. It is no exaggeration to say that Sengoku's announcement of this news is in a real sense. No, it has opened an unprecedented warm-up for the upcoming Summit War. Hi, One Piece, Roger's son. Hey, isn't this true? The blood of One Piece is still in this world. That guy turned out to be the guy who inherited the blood of One Piece. God. Ha. This is enough news in North Blue. No, it should be big news that set off a storm in the whole world. If what Marine said is true, then Marine is tantamount to dropping a bomb on this era. What? It turns out to be like this. He is actually the son of One Piece. No wonder this war can start. The blood of One Piece Roger. Gouda, this kind of guy, must not be allowed to stay in this world. Advertisement. All around the world. After Sengoku announced a piece of news and confirmed its authenticity, the crowd gradually reacted to each other and scenes were constantly being staged. Shock, trembling, panic, fanaticism, gasping and other emotions began to spread throughout the world. Even at this moment, at Naval Headquarters, 3 Admiral et al. Sharply narrowed pupils testify to the shock of Akainu et al. The secret Marshal Sengoku has been hiding. It turned out to be this. The evil blood left by Gul D. Roger in the world of One Piece still exists. And its successor is the Potter card on the execution rack. No, it should be inherited by Gul D. Ace now. Are you kidding me? The blood of the One Piece, Marine, these lunatics. In the audience, Shichibukai was also in shock, and Moria pinched her thigh when she regained her senses. Hiss. Pain. It really hurts. In other words, it turned out to be true. It's not that he's dreaming. No wonder Marine is so sure that the Whitebeard Pirates will attack. One Piece Roger's blood, and Whitebeard's son. All kinds of identities. Even as a Shichibukai, Moria immediately felt a tingling scalp. If this was normal, he would definitely not be able to mess with him. Hey, he's the son of Pirate King Gul D. Roger, the guy who inherited the worst bloodline in the world. Doflamingo was stunned for a long time, then the grinning smile suddenly appeared on the corner of his mouth, and a frenzied excitement appeared in his eyes under the sunglasses. Sengoku, you old guy has revealed a terrible secret. Now that the secret is out, then, it's time for the Whitebeard Pirates to come, right? Doflamingo opened his arms, and seemed to be talking to himself, looking at the calm sea that suddenly changed to trembling. There was no surprise on Doflamingo's face. Advertisement. Now that I know the reason why the Whitebeard Pirates must come back. Then. The protagonist of the other side of the war must be on the scene. On the Marine side, 3 admirals, dozens of vice admirals, Shichibukai, plus the current Marshal Sengoku, hundreds of thousands of elite Marine soldiers gathered from all over the world. The pirate side, Whitebeard, a fleet of thousands of people, another 16 squadrons, and 43 pirate groups. Doflamingo had a wicked smile on his lips. No matter which side wins or loses in this war, it is destined to affect the whole world and even the changes of the times. As for him, he only hopes that the world will become more and more chaotic. At the same time, New World, on a small boat. Damn, already started. Bai Ye brought the phone bug from Weibo. Although he couldn't see the Summit War picture, Sengoku deliberately conveyed the news of the whole world, and Bai Ye naturally listened to it. As a time traveler, Bai Ye is naturally clear. The announcement of Ace's identity is the proof of the largest collision between Marine and Pirate since the Age of Discovery, and the beginning of Summit War. Weibo, can you go faster? Bai Ye quickly thought about the Summit War plot and looked at Weibo. Weibo is simple-minded, but for his brother's best friend and father Whitebeard, he will do his best. As for the fastest route, it is to pass through the territory of 4 Emperors Charlotte Linlin without paying any attention to the other 4 Emperors. 007. The War of the Top Monsters in the World. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Summit War. The battle for the attention of the world, where Marine deliberately broadcasts the world, has begun. The bloodline of Gul D. Ace exposed to the world as the signal for the beginning of this open war. The way the Whitebeard Pirates appeared was beyond Sengoku's expectations, just like the original book. The Whitebeard Pirates chose to dive into naval headquarters from the seabed by coating. In this way, the artillery fire on the outermost layer of naval headquarters, which has been preparing for the battle for a long time, will undoubtedly be directly turned into scrap iron, which will undoubtedly have a huge impact on the battle situation on the Marine side. Damn, Whitebeard. Using this method, Sengoku gritted his teeth and clenched his fists, seeing the tumbling sea under the eyes of hundreds of thousands of Marines. As far as the eye can see, these are pirate ships with flags of different pirate groups breaking through the sea and appearing in naval headquarters from the bottom of the sea in full view. 1, 5, 10, 15, 30 pirate ships. The sea is constantly broken by pirate ships, and every captain on it is famous in the New World pirate group. At this moment, naval headquarters is bathed in the sun under the attention of the world. They are not the pirates under the Whitebeard Pirates, but the Whitebeard Pirates are family to them. Whenever Papa Whitebeard needs them, they will lead their respective pirate groups to help. The moment the Summit War started, the appearance of every pirate ship made all naval headquarters participants feel a sense of dignity in their hearts. As for the phone bug through the sound shadow. Sabayati Archipelago, East Blue, North Blue, South Blue, West Blue, New World. At this time, the whole world was watching when they saw a giant pirate ship that could hold thousands of people and was shaped like a whale break through the sea, and everyone was almost suffocated at this moment. Advertisement. The front end in the shape of a white whale is the largest among the 43 pirate ships. It is located at the front of the 43 pirate ships. There is a bright white crescent on it that bends the One Piece logo. This is the Whitebeard Pirates. And, the truly suffocating existence is no different from the man standing at the front of the deck of the Moby Dick, holding a naginata in his hand, without any extra movements, just standing in place, making people feel like he is facing an insurmountable peak. Edward Newgate. Since the Roger era, the world has recognized that the most likely candidate to become the next One Piece after the Roger era. Whitebeard Pirate Captain Whitebeard. Gu la la la, Sengoku, you are very welcome to old friends. Whitebeard looked to Sengoku on the high platform, breaking the depression of the beginning of this war. From the appearance of the Whitebeard Pirates, to Whitebeard scanning naval headquarters for hundreds of thousands of elite soldiers. During this process, the entire naval headquarters soldiers fell into a brief silence. If you look carefully, you will find that some Marines' hands holding the guns are trembling slightly after training. This process is not inferior to announcing Ace's worst bloodline to the world. After all, it was Whitebeard, the monster of fabled monsters. The world recognized the strongest man in the world. All over the world, there are monsters whose legends are being passed down. Father. Go away. This is a trap. Father. On the execution platform, Ace shouted with all his might when he saw the Whitebeard Pirates appear. During this time, from being defeated by Blackbeard to execution, Ace saw naval headquarters preparations for this war. Admiral, dozens of elite vice admiral, hundreds of thousands of elite marines from all over the world, plus Impel down, there is a guy who hides deep in naval headquarters. No matter how stupid Ace was, he saw another true face of this execution. Advertisement. Behind this public execution, the real thing to deal with is the Whitebeard Pirates. The worst blood in his body is just the fuse to start the biggest war in the history of Marine and Pirates. Having seen Marines' preparations, Ace would rather let his father retreat like this than his own life, and not fall into Marines' trap for him. Everyone in the Whitebeard Pirates is his important family. You are already in danger of protecting yourself, and you still have time to care about others. Sengoku snorted softly. Seeing the endlessly regretful Ace, Sengoku took a slow breath, and ordered the war to begin. All the preparations are for this moment. In this war, many people in Marine will die. But it is precisely because of this that Whitebeard must be completely wiped out here. Ace, don't be afraid, we will rescue you soon. In the Whitebeard Pirates, we are all family members. How can there be family members who abandon their families? Right. On the Moby Dick, it was Marco, the captain of the first team next to Whitebeard, who was speaking. Marco turned into a phoenix, burning blue flames, and pretended to have a relaxed smile on his face. One command and he's ready for battle. And if you look carefully, you will find that not only Marco, Diamond Jazzy, Foil Vista, Lacchio, etc. 16 teams, but also all 43 pirate groups are ready for war. Bai Ye kid, please. Whitebeard stood on the Moby Dick, watching Marine's terrifying lineup. Whitebeard murmured in his heart. Afterwards, the Summit War, using Sengoku to open the special iron wall of the science unit, and Whitebeard using the shock fruit to trigger the tsunami as a signal, this Summit War, which is destined to affect the world structure and the times regardless of winning or losing, begins. Summit War is on. In this Marine used the sound and shadow phone bug to disclose the entire war process to the world. Under the attention of the world saw the power of the monster who claimed to be at the top of the world for the first time. This power, people, no, this is completely beyond the scope of humans, it is the power that only monsters among monsters can possess. Advertisement. And for ordinary people all over the world, that is enough to be considered the existence of Guan Yu God. It is not a battle that mortals can step into. Human power creates a tsunami. Thousands of kilometers frozen. Meteor volcano is comparable to the meteorite landing battlefield. This open world war successfully shattered the illusions of many young people who went to sea, and the pirates had ambitions for the status of the four emperors. Seeing the godlike power above, everyone couldn't help but ask themselves, do they really have the courage to stand in front of that monster and challenge it? I'm afraid I can't even raise the fighting spirit when I stand in front of that kind of monster, right? At the same time, One of the four emperors. A big event happened quietly in Charlotte Linland's all nations site. Although compared to the world-renowned Summit War, it is like a huge wave and the splash is insignificant. But it is a big event for the IWC under the control of Charlotte Linland. Lord Snug, one of the four generals, was ordered to clean up the sea area where there were intruders. Afterwards, not long after General Snuggle left, the life card suddenly burned out and disappeared. 008. The Summit War is on. Sengoku can't wait to kill the horse on the side of the world government seeking flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Naval Headquarters. Summit War is still going on. Hundreds of thousands of Marines and pirates from all over the world were summoned to fight together in the headquarters square, forming the most tragic war situation in the history of the Great Discovery Age. At the beginning, after Aokiji froze the entire tsunami and sea surface, it was the most basic Marine who fought the pirates. But this situation didn't last long, as the captains of the 16th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates joined the battle, Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral, Elite Vice Admiral Flying Squirrel, Huo Shaoshan and others began to join the battle. For a time, the influx of high combat power directly expanded the war situation. Under pressure, Marine also began to expose the pacifist troops into battle in advance. A pacifist spat out a laser at Whitebeard, but it was easily blocked by Diamond Jazzy before touching Whitebeard. Damn, it really doesn't work. On the Marine side, behind the pacifists, Zan Momomaru, who was in charge of the science unit, gritted his teeth and subconsciously looked in the direction of Admiral. Against monsters of that level, it seems that if Marshal Sengoku or Admiral do not take action, the pacifists may not even be able to get close. Discovering this, Zanmomaru ordered all the pacifists to turn to attack the pirates who were charging at the front. Since the main general cannot be threatened, we must reduce the number of these pirates as much as possible. Hey, it started, blah blah, blah blah, this is really a tragic war. Shichibukai's direction, Doflamingo opened his arms, as if celebrating the war. Moria curled her lips, thinking about the plan in her heart, while secretly taking advantage of the chaos to collect the shadows of the pirates and Marine. Advertisement. From the beginning to the end, Hawkeye's eyes were fixed on Whitebeard, who was on the pirate side. Hancock has no intention of making a move at all. She was summoned as a forced Shichibukai in Summit War, and it is impossible for her to really contribute. What's more, Marine actually let those damned guys come to watch the battle. Pung. A Marine rear admiral was knocked into the air by the pirate captain and landed at Doflamingo Mingo's feet. Seeing that Shichibukai hadn't planned to do anything, he couldn't help saying angrily. Bastards, you Shichibukai, what are you trying to do? Doflamingo spread his hands indifferently, leaned over to look at the Marine rear admiral under his feet, and asked with a smile, Hey, are you doing something wrong? We are pirates, do we need you to make a decision? Foo. You. Okay, don't look at me like that, since you Marines beg me, I will still help. Glancing at the wide-eyed Marine, Doflamingo noticed Sengoku's murderous look and rubbed his forehead helplessly. Sengoku, this old guy, even if the battle situation is already so tragic, don't forget to think about this side. As expected of an old fox who survived the Roger era. Now that you can't paddle, let's put on a show. Doflamingo looked at the furious Marine rear admiral at his feet, and the corner of his mouth split into an arc. Then, the transparent thread spread out from the fingertips, and in a blink of an eye, it controlled several Marines who had fallen due to injuries to fight with the pirates again. This kind of superficial effort, Doflamingo still doesn't mind, helping Marine. On the high platform, Doflamingo. The bastard. Sengoku saw Doflamingo's good intentions to help, his fists were faint and his hair was white. Shichibukai, these guys really don't have any real plans to contribute. Although Sengoku was angry, he knew that now was not the time to settle accounts with Doflamingo. Sengoku looked at Whitebeard standing on the Moby Dick, and he knew that he could not threaten that man with ordinary combat power. Advertisement. So, Sengoku thought about it and decided to order Aokiji and Akainu to join the war. Admiral, go to battle. As for Kizaru is currently in charge of protecting a group of people who are the most useless and dishelpful in this war, but Marine can't refuse. That is the Celestial Dragons who stayed in Sengoku's former office to watch the battle. Yes, the Celestial Dragons are coming to watch the battle, and Marine is totally irresistible. But Celestial Dragons can't have any mistakes, so after Suru's suggestion, Sengoku had to arrange Celestial Dragons in the Marshal's office. This location, directly facing the Naval Headquarters Square, as long as the Celestial Dragons don't die, it should be. Wait. Sengoku. As soon as Sengoku gave the order to let Akainu and Aokiji participate in this war, Sengoku suddenly found out how many bastards want to come to him on this high platform. And the reason is that the wonderful Marshal's office tour is not effective. Sengoku's mentality burst instantly. Are Celestial Dragons all pigs? Bad location for sightseeing. It's not like courting death, is it? Hey, Marshal, it seems that the old man can only do his best. A tall and thin figure composed of golden light particles appeared beside Sengoku. Kizaru also rubbed his forehead with an extremely headache, and his wretched face was as uncomfortable as eating s. The implication is that he has already put in a lot of effort, but the celestial dragons don't listen to persuasion at all, so, even if there is any accident, he can only do his best. After all, celestial dragons is such a big and shining target, even if he is admiral, it is impossible to perfectly protect a target that is actively sent to the muzzle of a gun, right? Don't forget, the target of their war is the monster standing at the top of the world. Advertisement. Gu la 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 la. Sengoku, it seems that you Marines have really fallen, and the war with the old man is actually a trifle. On the Moby Dick, Whitebeard couldn't help laughing when he saw a group of arrogant people trying to stay in Sengoku's position. Originally, there was no clear breakthrough in this war. I didn't expect. Isn't this delivered to your door? At this point, it's not just Whitebeard, let's not forget that this war is broadcast live to the world. The emergence of celestial dragons plunged countless forces into chaos. Celestial dragons are indeed nobles of the world, possessing privileges beyond the reach of ordinary people. But even if it is a privilege, it depends on the situation. What naval headquarters is now opening as the largest and most tragic war in the history of the Age of Discovery? Celestial dragons appeared at this time, still arrogantly staying in a prominent position for sightseeing. This result, isn't that just giving Whitebeard a target? Marshal Sengoku, this is not the old man's problem. Kizaru noticed Whitebeard's gaze and his heart skipped a beat. Sengoku gritted his teeth with all his strength, forcibly suppressed the urge to kill the world government again, and ordered Akainu and Aokiji to immediately target Whitebeard. In any case, this war cannot allow any accidents. When Aokiji and Akainu saw the celestial dragons, their faces turned black. But they also know that this war has cost such a huge price that it cannot be stopped. Now, he and Akainu will team up to deal with the enemy's main general, Whitebeard. 009. The intense summit war, the turmoil in the shadow of world attention. Ask for flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Whitebeard. As the remnants of this world's evil age, you should also end the curtain. Gu la la la. The brat who doesn't know the heights of the heavens and the earth, wants to take the old man's life. The old man's head is here, come and take it if you have the ability. Seeing Akainu in a red suit uttering harsh words, more than half of his body turned into black smoke and dark red lava and walking towards him, Whitebeard released the extremely domineering aura on his body. The moment this aura was completely released, the entire war of hundreds of thousands of people came to a brief halt. As a veteran of the Four Emperors, Whitebeard usually has a heroic personality, but this is only because in front of his family, Whitebeard shows what an old man should look like. Now, Whitebeard chooses to completely put himself in the years, and the domineering aura is back. This sense of oppression, if Whitebeard stands there at the beginning, gives people the illusion of an insurmountable peak. So at this moment, it is the sense of terror and oppression that a tyrant standing at the top of the world should have. Under this momentum, ordinary people are like facing the abyss of fear, and they can't even raise the strength to hold their weapons tightly. The entire battlefield felt Whitebeard's soaring oppression, and Marine's side showed a look of silence in an instant. Even the fighting spirit to fight the pirates began to be greatly reduced. Marco and the others stayed beside Whitebeard, feeling the momentum, and their faces were dignified. With this kind of aura, they saw the father when he was young. Even if his mind was like the sea, once he got serious, he would be the father who was the true master of the sea in this era. Whitebeard. Additionally, Marco and Diamond Jazzy were among the first crew members to follow Papa. Advertisement. The two of them also knew one thing very well in their hearts, this kind of momentum was the result of the old man's deliberate restraint. If it weren't for taking care of the family members of the Whitebeard Pirates, the aura of Daddy and young Naha would definitely be far more than that. Of course, releasing this sense of oppression also means Dad will also participate in this war. Confrontation with Admiral, Marine's highest combat power. Damn Whitebeard, a rotten guy should just stay in the dirt. At this time, a Titan Vice Admiral rushed through the layers of pirates, holding a big knife in both hands and swung it at Whitebeard with all his strength. Then, this is a terrifying scene, and countless people around the world opened their mouths. I saw that this was Vice Admiral, a Titan elite whose position in naval headquarters was second only to Admiral, and the sword over 10 meters was easily blocked by Whitebeard with a naginata like a toy. No matter how hard the Titan elite Vice Admiral pressed down, the veins on his forehead popped out, but he couldn't shake the man in front of him who was clearly compared to the Titans, and his body was about the size of a child. This is impossible. Damn it, Whitebeard. Titan Vice Admiral swung his knife angrily. Whitebeard didn't even pay attention to the Titan Vice Admiral, his eyes were on Akainu and Aokiji, and he said flatly, "You are in the way." After the words fell, the Titan Elite Vice Admiral felt the change in Whitebeard, and his face changed drastically. The next moment, Whitebeard clenched his fist with his left hand, and shock fruit exploded with power. With just one punch, accompanied by a distorted sound of clicking, in the space, white cracks appeared, and the Titan Vice Admiral was blown out without the slightest resistance. It flew over the heads of the crowd on the battlefield heavily, and landed on the iron wall surrounding the battlefield, spreading countless cracks. showcasing the terrifying power of Whitebeard's random punch. This scene shocked all the ordinary Marines who participated in the war. Titan Vice Admiral, that's still an elite Vice Admiral. It was an understatement to be solved with one punch by a man with such a huge difference in body size. Advertisement. This monster. Is it really human? Ordinary Marine felt the pressure of the terror overlord on Whitebeard, and Shunin couldn't help but flinch. Witnessing this scene, Sengoku gritted his teeth and ordered Akainu and Aokiji to act immediately. He knew that if Whitebeard was allowed to continue to be arrogant, this war would no longer be necessary. Sengoku saw the battle that was slowly stabilized with the help of Akainu and Aokiji, and he began to think. The current situation of this war has proved that it will never end easily. Although Kizaru can't make a move because of celestial dragons. Garp naturally needless to say, let Garp take action. Sengoku also knows how painful it is to his comrades. But, beyond that, Naval Headquarters has a hidden weapon right now. Poison Fruit capable user, Impel down Director Magellan. It is true that Magellan's fruit ability is extremely dangerous, and it is extremely easy to accidentally injure one's own people after it is activated, but Magellan's combat power is absolutely unquestionable, and it has the Admiral of Headquarters level of combat power. Enough to be the key to reversing this war. Sengoku set his sights on the chaotic battle situation. Right now, Marine soldiers, lieutenant colonels, rear admirals, and vice admirals, elite vice admirals, and admirals have almost all devoted themselves to this war of more than hundreds of thousands of people. The entire naval headquarters began to crumble under this level of war attrition. Shichibukai's strength, from Doflamingo's casual attitude, was almost entirely hopeless. Advertisement. Coupled with the deadly celestial dragons around him pinning Kizaru, Sengoku gritted his teeth and ordered someone to send a message to Magellan. Magellan's appearance is about to intensify the summit war. At the same time, at this moment, the attention of the entire world was drawn to the tragic summit war. The collision between Marine and the Whitebeard Pirates shocked the whole world. Demonstrates the heritage of the Marine, and the terrifying power possessed by the four emperors. At the same time, at this moment, someone secretly took advantage of the opportunity of summit war and secretly used the plan to gain benefits in Impel Down. Impel Down here, due to the absence of Magellan, the trump card, Blackbeard's plan is far smoother than in the original book. It didn't take much time for Blackbeard to reach the 6th floor of Impel Down Eternal Hell. Liberated from the most vicious group of criminals from the Age of Discovery, and even before the Age of Discovery. Now, Blackbeard has led the new partners he recruited to the place of the most important plan. Summit War. The same way, after Bai Ye took care of an obstructive, bad fish, in the territory of Big Mom Pirates, he and Wabel have crossed the New World and successfully arrived at the first half of the Grand Line. 010. Ready to join the war, Bai Ye. Yes, that guy hasn't apologized to me yet, has he? Ask for flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Bye, brother Bai Ye. We have arrived at the Grand Line. Sabayati Archipelago fringes the sea. A pirate ship from New World appeared in this sunny blue sea. This pirate ship is naturally the ship that Bai Ye and Wabel are on. This place is now on the edge of the Sabayati Archipelago, and Bai Ye can already see the tragedy of the summit war from various areas of the Sabayati Archipelago. Little Ozzy began to appear. As in the original book, a foot was cut off by Doflamingo, who started to get serious. The originally assembled 43 pirate groups have lost more than a quarter of this summit war. In addition to the captain, the Whitebeard Pirates also continued to mobilize Marine casualties, and began to further expand under the more violent offensive. Although this war of world attention is still going on, Naval Headquarters has become completely fragmented, shaking the nerves of countless people in the whole world. However, since Sengoku on the Marine side made up his mind to let Magellan appear, the entire battle situation has obviously begun to be greatly affected. Although Magellan's poisonous fruit ability is difficult to avoid harming his own people, don't forget that this is a war that can affect the world pattern and even change the times. As long as you can win, it is Marine's victory. Advertisement. So, Magellan took off his poison mask, and released a large area of purple venom as soon as he appeared on the stage, and almost no one could barely stand up wherever he passed. It's like a natural disaster of war. Whenever Magellan walks by, whether it's a Marine or a pirate, they try their best to avoid it. Marine had a loss, but it was okay. As soon as Magellan appeared, Sengoku immediately ordered Marine to retreat immediately when he saw Magellan. At the beginning, Marine didn't know what was going on, but after seeing Magellan's terrifying poisonous fruit ability, Marine learned to be smart. However, no one on the pirate side knew what kind of terrifying ability Magellan possessed from the very beginning, so a large number of casualties occurred almost immediately without knowing it. It has to be said that with the appearance of Magellan, it really affected the whole war situation. Ha ha ha, there is such a beautiful scenery here, why didn't he let him take action in the morning? The painful appearance of these untouchables is really wonderful. Naval Headquarters, on the high platform, through the sound and shadow phone bug, the excited appearance of Celestial Dragon's Charos Saint was transmitted to the whole world. Thousands of people around the world who have been persecuted by Celestial Dragons can't help but grit their teeth. That's war up there. War. A brutal war involving hundreds of thousands of people. Every minute, every second, someone dies. Is this tragic battle just a tool for fun in the eyes of celestial dragons? Damn it. Here at Naval Headquarters, Sengoku naturally heard the excited cries of celestial dragons, and Sengoku's entire face was gloomy at the moment. Magellan can play a key role in changing the situation of this battle. But, the lives of those Marines below are not lives. Advertisement. No sane man would choose to let Magellan go easy. Has Summit War progressed to this stage yet? Beside Sabayati Archipelago, Bai Ye watched the battle between Whitebeard and Akainu and Aokiji above, his palms were slightly clenched. Although the fourth Captain Sage did not die because Wabel joined the Whitebeard Pirates, so the Whitebeard Summit War did not receive that knife, but Bai Ye is very clear that with Whitebeard's current physical condition, it is absolutely impossible to deal with the two Marine Admirals. Will be easy. When drinking before, Bai Ye discussed the issue of four Emperors' combat power with Whitebeard. Whitebeard said frankly that at his level, if he was young, he would have absolutely no problem dealing with the current Marine Admiral Akainu, but if there were more than two, there would be unstable factors. This instability comes from whether the other party really wants to fight you hard. After all, at their level, the physical strength of all the guys is beyond the imagination of ordinary humans. If there is not much difference in strength, it is extremely difficult to tell the winner after several days and nights. For example, the battle between Golden Lion and Roger once lasted for several months. This is one of the reasons why Marine never let Admiral go deep into the Four Emperors' territory. Then there is the important point, Admiral is not as strong as the Four Emperors, but he is also a type of person standing at the top of the world. This kind of guy cannot be compared to the Four Emperors alone. But if it is not really desperate, even the Four Emperors will find it difficult to tell the winner in a short time. If you have to deal with more than two, even if you have the strength to defeat the opponent, but the real outcome of the battle depends on time. What? Whitebeard and Akainu Aokiji are not just a simple 1v2 battle. Outside of this battle, this is a war with a scale of more than hundreds of thousands of people. As we all know, one of the most lacking things in war is time. Now that Magellan is on the stage, and Kizaru has not made a move, as long as Aokiji and Akainu can hold Whitebeard, the final direction of this war is self-evident. Father. Advertisement. Even the simple-minded Wabel's eyes turned red when he saw the tragic Summit War above. Now Wabel wants to participate in this war wholeheartedly. After getting along for 10 years, Wabel is no longer the kind of fool who would easily trust others. Although the Whitebeard Pirates are the first and second in the hearts of the eldest brother and the old man, the family of the eldest brother and the old man is not his family. Anyone who dares to take action against the elder brother and the father's family will bear his wrath. Brother Bai Ye. Wabel stared at the Summit War screen, and a fierce breath flowed out. After all, don't forget that in the original book, Wabel became one of the 7 warlords of the sea not because Wabel made a deal with the Marine government. It is Wabel's own strong strength that can surpass the world government to replace Blackbeard and become one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Bai Ye felt the ferocious aura that flowed from Wabel for 10 years only when he was underestimated or threatened. Bai Ye, who should have been anxious, suddenly calmed down. Staring at Whitebeard who was fighting Admiral on the Summit War screen, he turned to Wabel and said, "Yeah, it's time for us to go to the war too. The guy hasn't apologized to me himself, has he?" The words fell. As a result, no one in the entire world expected that this war of world attention will soon have new uncertain factors. Join the war. 011. This era is called Whitebeard. Ask for flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The other side. Impel down outside. On a warship that was robbed and fled. When Blackbeard and others rushed to the Summit War, they also kept paying attention to this war that attracted the attention of the world. After all, Summit War, here is the most crucial step in his plan. Thief ha 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 ha. This kind of power is really terrifying. As expected, after the death of Roger, the Pirate King, he was considered the strongest man. Standing on the deck, Blackbeard saw Whitebeard dealing with 2 Marine admirals alone, his eyes gleamed with ambition, he couldn't help laughing and opened his arms, revealing his rough chest. That power is really too powerful. It is so powerful that no one dares to take a peek. If this power is inherited by him, no matter what crimes he commits, Marine will not have the courage to deal with him easily. Therefore, this war of world attention finally. Blackbeard teaches eyes shone brighter than ambition. In the war between Marine and the Whitebeard Pirates, he will be the one to pick the final victory. No, it should be him and the group of the world's most vicious new companions who are behind him at this moment to pick it together. At this moment, apart from Fighting Champion, Giza's Badgers and Otokoshi, Van Oka. Now his new partners are Swordsman, Shiryu of Rain, formerly the cruelest warden of Impel Down. Ship Doctor, Shinigami, Poison Q, an evil ship doctor who is good at poison. Combatants, Evil Government King, Abaro Pizarro, Ghost Security Officer, Lafitte, Genzuki Hunter, Katarine Diame, the world's most dangerous woman, Devil Fruit Phantom Beast Nine Tails Fox those who can. And, with a body size of more than 180 meters, with a huge body like a terrifying island that the whole world fears, the giant battleship, San Juan Wolf. Advertisement. That's it for Blackbeard's new companion at Impel Down. From Impel Down on the 6th floor of Eternal Hell, after fighting, the strongest group of survivors is also the most vicious group of criminals in the entire world before the age of great exploration, and even now. With this group of people, Blackbeard dares to have the ambition to participate in this war. Naval Headquarters. Summit War is here. Boom. 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 The undercurrent of this world-focused war did not affect the pace of this war. This moment, the Whitebeard Pirates Marco and others have all joined the battle. Shichibukai Hawkeye wanted to see Whitebeard's power, but the slash was blocked by Diamond Josie, and then the Whitebeard Pirates' 5th team captain, Foil, Vesta took over as his opponent. Hawkeye is recognized as the #1 swordsman in the world, but the Foil, Vista, swordsmanship is also one of the best swordsmen in the world. Even if the overall strength is not as good as that of Hawkeye, but at the same level, it is definitely not so easy for Hawkeye to defeat Vista. In addition, since all the leaders of the Whitebeard pirate team, including Marco, have joined the battle, this world-focused war is about to reach its peak. Great Eruption. Ice Age. Poison Dragon. Bachi Chonguyu. Advertisement. Akainu, Aokiji, Magellan and others sensed the progress of this war and stepped up their moves one after another. At this time, even Kizaru, who was responsible for the safety of celestial dragons, began to make shots without affecting it. Almost instantly, let this summit war reach its peak. Thereafter, the most striking thing about this war is the confrontation between the two main generals. With every blow, every collision, the fragmentation of naval headquarters intensifies. The place where Akainu fought Aokiji and Whitebeard was almost centered on the feet, and the ground cracked layer by layer within hundreds of meters, and even spread to 400 or 500 meters to surround the iron wall, causing countless terrifying cracks to appear on it. In that combat position, there's hardly anything complete to say the least. This level of battle can't help but make the whole world feel scalp tingling, clearly let the world know what the world's top combat power is. This is no longer a human battle at all, this is a battle unique to monsters among monsters. I saw that Whitebeard appeared above because of Magellan, and Whitebeard was worried that his sons would be distracted. Akainu succeeded in making Whitebeard suffer a decisive injury. That kind of injury, in the eyes of the whole world, would definitely kill an ordinary person instantly. However, the tall man with a white beard curving upwards like a crescent moon did not change at all. Didn't even show pain. Then, this is the man who stood on the summit war and shocked the whole world. The man ignored the worries of his sons, clenched his fists, and the shock fruit ability exploded, and the punch directly blasted Akainu, who was unbelievably stretched on the spot. Underground. Bastard, this damn monster. From Akainu's point of view, a successful blow would definitely be a fatal injury for an ordinary person. Then, the moment Akainu's nerves relaxed, Akainu looked up and saw Whitebeard's entire shadowed body seemed to be suddenly enlarged, covering the entire summit war sky with gunpowder smoke and sunlight, and facing Whitebeard's calm and terrifying eyes. Akainu at this moment, there is a sense of fear like facing a god and demon, as if the person standing in front of him is not alone. Rao is Marine Admiral, and Akainu couldn't help calling out the word monster. Then, Akainu's vision was blocked by an unforgettable punch. Advertisement. Blood spurted from his body, and he couldn't help spitting out a large amount of blood from his mouth, staining the red suit and the ground. Then, Akainu was smashed into Whitebeard's feet in humiliation, and Shock Fruit's ability caused great damage to Akainu. This scene undoubtedly shocked the entire summit war and the world again. Even countless people have misconceptions. A monster in front of this man, is it still a monster? This question caused countless people who thought of it to remain silent. It seems that there is only so much I can do. At the summit war, Whitebeard felt the injuries on his body, plus the hidden injuries accumulated over the years. Whitebeard saw that Aokiji was stunned. He looked at the whole summit war. Whitebeard at this moment, he thought of the letter left to that guy, the years of drinking, and all the family members who gave their lives for this war. Afterwards, Whitebeard stared at Akainu under his feet. The terrifying pressure on his body did not weaken at all because of the injury, but became stronger. In Whitebeard's view, now that he has chosen this path of failure, at least, the afterglow of his life must tell this era. Named Whitebeard. In an instant, Whitebeard deliberately suppressed the Overlord aura to completely complete this hundreds of thousands of people's war, which broke out under the attention of the world. Whitebeard knew his body well before coming here. This is very likely to be the last battle of his remnant party in the old era. But even if he could choose again, he still came back. After all, the Whitebeard who gave up his family is not worthy of the Whitebeard name. 012. Intelligence personnel locates Bai Ye seeking flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Damn Whitebeard, to have this power now. Sengoku stayed on it, seeing that Whitebeard's injury not only did not weaken, but released a more terrifying momentum. Even Sengoku couldn't help but be shocked. But precisely because of this, Sengoku gritted his teeth. Everything he paid for this war must completely bury this man here. Caw caw caw. Akainu gasped, and got up from the collapse in disgrace. He also felt the terrifying oppression of Whitebeard above his head, which did not decrease but increased. Looking up, thinking of the look in Whitebeard's eyes just now, Akainu felt a moment of fear in his heart, but he quickly suppressed it. It's true that this guy is a monster, but even if he's a monster, it's impossible to face that kind of injury without being affected in the slightest. Akainu raised his head and glanced at the entire battlefield, covering with one hand he may have broken several ribs, and even had ribs inserted into internal organs. He clenched his teeth and looked at Kuzan. Don't be scared by this monster. This old guy won't last long. Now the entire war is due to the appearance of Magellan, and Kizaru followed suit, and the balance of victory has gradually tilted towards Marine's side. No matter how powerful Whitebeard is, it is not enough to reverse the outcome of this war. Advertisement. The Whitebeard Pirates, in this war that has been attracting worldwide attention for several hours, can only usher in the end of destruction. Yes, this war started with the announcement of Ace's worst bloodline, and the summit war that started has been going on for several hours. The sense of oppression brought about by this war continues to shake the entire world, including East Blue, West Blue, South Blue, North Blue, and Grand Line. At this moment, everyone understood the meaning behind this tragic war. The outcome of this war, no matter which side wins or loses, will affect countless forces, the world structure, and even the change of the era of great pirates. So, even though the summit war has been going on for hours, almost no one in the whole world has moved an eye. New World. Sea area occupied by Kaido. Ghost Island. This old guy seems to be ready to die. Gouda gouda. Half of his body was in the shadow. Kaido wiped the corners of his mouth, put down the red wine gourd around his waist. Kaido stood up, revealing a burly body with a dragon scale tattoo on his left, and shouted, "Little ones." Well, Master Kaido. Master Kaido. Advertisement. There was a burst of pirate cheers outside the Ghost Island. Kaido came out of the cave, as far as he could see. It's a pirate ship from the Beast's Pirates. Neatly lined up in the blue sea in front of Onijima. It can be seen that Kaido has assembled his subordinates since the first time he learned that Whitebeard appeared in naval headquarters. The purpose is self-evident. Since the old guy Whitebeard may not come back, Whitebeard's territory cannot be given up to others. After all, he knew the old woman Charlotte Linlin very well, and he could see who the war was leaning towards, so the old woman Charlotte Linlin must be able to see it too. Maybe, ready to take over Whitebeard's territory by now too. Kaido thought of this, even if he didn't continue wasting time to prepare for departure. All of a sudden, the Beast's pirates were almost in full force. At the same time, not only the Beast's pirates, but as many forces in the whole world could predict the direction of this war, the whole new world fell into an undercurrent for a while. As the veteran Four Emperors, Whitebeard owns a territory that countless pirates would never have dreamed of. They are not kind people. With the threat of Whitebeard before, no one dared to covet these sites. Advertisement. But now Whitebeard can't protect himself, and the countless forces in the entire new world are like a school of sharks smelling a wounded beast, and everyone wants to get a piece of this big cake. The destruction of the Whitebeard Pirates, for New World pirates, forces, etc., they seem to have seen a feast. But how long can this feast of evil belonging to the New World last? I'm afraid it's a price they never dreamed of paying. Summit War. Bai Ye and Wabel finally came to the end of the most intense peak of this war. Arrival. The existence of Bai Ye is completely unfamiliar to the world of pirates. Even if someone saw Bai Ye from the sound and shadow phone bug, they would not have any impression of Bai Ye at all. After all, Bai Ye came from time traveling and was basically paddling on weekdays. Even if Marine has information about him, it is still regarded as an intelligence officer. Of course, there is only a very simple reason for the intelligence personnel to locate this. The enemies who have seen him attack are all dead. 013. Magellan's face changed dramatically on the stage, asking for flowers, evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Summit War. Located at Naval Headquarters. At this time, Bai Ye and Wabel came here, and they could see that the entire Naval Headquarters was almost torn apart. Even the huge office building of Naval Headquarters is covered with dark and terrifying cracks. And in the outermost layer of Summit War, in front of Bai Ye and Wabel. This is a special enclosure developed by the Naval Headquarters Science Unit. The purpose of this special alloy wall surrounding the entire Naval Headquarters is self-evident. From the beginning of this execution, this is a war prepared behind the scenes to completely destroy the Whitebeard Pirates. Brother Bai Ye, leave it to me. In front of the wall surrounded by special alloys, Wabel held a naginata in his hand, exuding a ferocious aura. Then, Wabel's gaze was fixed, and the naginata slashed towards the wall surrounding Marine with all its strength. A soaring slash carrying a huge impact of tens of meters flew out from the naginata, like a giant sea king suddenly rushing towards the surrounding wall. Boom. The moment the special surrounding wall developed by the Marine Science Corps came into contact with this slash, it set off a wave of sound that could resound through the entire Summit War. Boom. From the perspective of the interior of Summit War, there is a sudden deafening explosion in the distance. People at war heard the sound and couldn't help but look in the direction of the source of the sound. Then, they saw that the source of the sound was the direction of the outermost surrounding wall of this summit war. That direction has been swept by thick dust and smoke at this time, and the alloy surrounding wall with a thickness of several meters has become dilapidated. It looks like it was as if someone forcibly tore a path from the outside, and the seawater poured in. Advertisement. That is the direction of the surrounding wall. What happened over there? Could someone join this war again? Marine or pirate? Because the sound wave was too loud, it attracted the entire battlefield, and everyone couldn't help looking at it subconsciously. Their thoughts fluctuated. Even Doflamingo, Hawkeye, Moria, Empress Shichibukai and the others stopped one after another, and couldn't help looking. In the same way, there is also Marine Vice Admiral, the flying squirrel who was fighting with the leader of the Whitebeard pirate team. Sengoku and Kizaru above also looked over to the sudden explosion. But only Sengoku frowned for the first time. The reason is simple. As the Marine Marshal who started this summit war, Sengoku is very clear that for this war, he has invested almost all of Naval Headquarters' military power, and it is almost impossible for the outside world to have marine power pouring in. In other words, the only ones who can join this war are those other than the Marine faction. It seems that this war will not end so easily. Fighting Whitebeard here, Aokiji elementalized from the ice surface, looked at the source of the sound wave, and frowned. As Admiral, his intuition told him that someone in trouble broke into this summit war. Damn it! Akainu with a bloody head looked towards the direction of the thick smoke and couldn't help clenching his teeth. Who on earth would dare to participate in this war at this time, and even broke the surrounding wall used to surround the Whitebeard pirates? Damn it! Akainu couldn't help clenching his fists. No matter what power or person it is, he swears that when this war is over, he will not make this force feel better. The sound waves attract the attention of the whole war, and so does the whole world. Thereafter, under the watchful eyes of the whole world in this war, everyone's faces were filled with astonishment. This is not a force that suddenly broke into this war. Instead, seawater poured in from the surrounding wall, and what appeared in front of everyone was just a small boat. Advertisement. On this ship, there are only 2 people in total. One of the young men was almost unimpressed by everyone. Another guy exuding a ferocious aura followed behind the man, holding a naginata. It seemed that this guy was the one who caused the terrifying sound wave and cut open the surrounding wall just now. But who is this? Under the attention of the entire marine power in the world, everyone had this idea. No wonder they were taken aback. Because they really don't have any impression. Moreover, this war with a scale of more than hundreds of thousands of people is definitely not just 2 people who can turn the tide of the battle. Seeing that there were only 2 people, ordinary people who were originally under the protection of the Whitebeard pirates and hoped that the Whitebeard pirates would win, the hope raised in their hearts was almost extinguished instantly. Yeah, this summit war has come to this point. Could it be that just 2 people can change the situation of the battle? It's ridiculous that they actually saw hope just now. Summit war. This is Bai Ye and Vice Captain Wabel. Bai Ye, you'd better leave quickly. Dad absolutely doesn't want you to intervene in this kind of war. Someone from the Whitebeard pirates recognized Bai Ye and Wabel. No wonder it is so. Bai Ye and Dad have known each other for a long time, and the 2 often drink together, which is known to the entire Whitebeard pirates. As for Wabel, as the vice captain of the 4th team, although Wabel is pure-hearted, no one in the Whitebeard pirates dares to underestimate Wabel. If it weren't for Wabel's mind, they would have no doubt that the captain of the 4th team is Wabel, not Sax. Many people have joked about this matter. At this time, it was Sage, the captain of the 4th team, who ran over to talk. Sax knew that Dad attached great importance to Bai Ye as a friend, otherwise Dad would not have left a letter alone. The last thing Saki wanted to see was that Bai Ye would appear here. Advertisement. This is war, a place where the fate of the Whitebeard pirates is already at stake. If Bai Ye had anything to do, Sage would definitely regret that he let Wabel give the letter to Bai Ye in advance. Of course, at this time, the Whitebeard pirates saw only 2 people. Although they were stunned for a moment, there was no disappointment, remorse, or despair on their faces. After all, they are all the family members of the Whitebeard pirates' father, and the moment they follow Dad, they have given their lives to the Whitebeard pirates. Even if it is destined to be buried here, I don't have any regrets, and by the way, I have to pull a few more Marines. That guy, who the hell is it? Seeing that there were only 2 people at Sengoku's location, Sengoku was stunned for a while and recovered to think about the information about the Whitebeard pirates in his mind. Wabel is okay. The vice captain of the 4th team of the Whitebeard pirates, the unique shape is said to be adored by Whitebeard, and he is rumored to be an extremely powerful guy. From the naginata in Wabel's hand, it can be seen that this guy did the damage to the surrounding wall. It is true that it is not inferior to Whitebeard's real team leader's terrifying strength. But not enough. Not enough. Just 2 people are not enough to turn the tide of this battle. Regarding Bai Ye's message, Sengoku thought for a while, and found that there was only the message of intelligence personnel. At most it was a good relationship with Whitebeard, and there was no other message. After thinking for a moment, Sengoku understood that this was just a sudden incident. Not enough. to effect this war. Thinking of this, Sengoku ordered the war to continue. But at this moment, Sengoku's pupils suddenly shrank sharply. It was like seeing something unbelievable. As far as the eye can see, Magellan pauses to look at the newcomer who has joined the fray. Based on Magellan's experience, if Weibo beside Bai Ye joins the war, it will be a huge trouble. Therefore, Magellan chose to deal with the most threatening existence first, and cast the dragon, and the 3 poisonous dragons composed of purple venom opened their bloody mouths and rushed away. Then came the scene that left Magellan stunned. The man next to Weibo, whom he considered the least threatening, even reached out to catch the poisonous dragon. No, it should be the blood-red poisonous dragon that suddenly appeared on the man's hand and ate all the poisonous dragons made of his venom. No, impossible. Magellan's face changed drastically in an instant. 014. The existence of factors affecting the battle situation. Ask for flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. No, it's impossible. Magellan's face changed drastically in an instant. Afterwards, Magellan had an extremely serious expression on his face. The poisonous fruit ability is his biggest advantage in this summit war, which is like a natural disaster. His fruit ability allows him to exhale poisonous gas from his mouth and release a large amount of highly toxic purple liquid from his body. Wherever he goes, almost no one can stand up in front of the poison. But, this man in front of him. Magellan could see clearly that this man didn't use some kind of hockey method to block his venom, but directly ate his move, dragon. As a poisoner, Magellan knows best how horrible the venom he releases is. Even if someone is lucky enough not to be instantly killed by the poison, he will eventually die helplessly in great pain after being contaminated with the venom. After all, this is a terrifying ability that even a capable person like himself cannot fully control. But in front of this man at this moment, the venom he released has no effect. As director of the Impel down prison guarding some of the world's worst criminals, Magellan knew right away that the Summit War was adding a huge amount of trouble. Even, it may affect the entire Summit War situation. That guy, who the hell is he? He actually blocked that monster's attack. There is such a guy among the pirates. Marine was shocked when he saw someone blocking Magellan's passage, and no one could stand up for the poisonous dragon. Since she doesn't know Magellan's true identity, she knows that Magellan is one of her own, but thinking of that terrifying ability, she still can't help calling it a monster. But now, someone actually blocked the monster that looked like a natural disaster of war. How could they not be shocked? They have seen with their own eyes what kind of results Magellan will produce wherever he goes. Advertisement. That was a terrifying ability that even his own people couldn't resist. Damn. The troublesome guy appeared. Above, Sengoku's eyes were filled with shock, and his face immediately became serious when he recovered. Damn it. He was mistaken. More precisely, he was misled by Marine collecting information about the Whitebeard Pirates. Being able to block Magellan's attack, not to mention better than that Weibo next to him, with this ability alone, Sengoku knew right away that the young man was absolutely impossible to be just an intelligence officer. After all, it can easily block Magellan's poisonous dragon. If a guy of this level is an intelligence agent, Sengoku would like to beat Marine directly. It's impossible to know this kind of guy with your toes. But it wasn't the young man's identity that really made Sengoku's face sour. Instead, the other party used a move similar to Magellan just now, and the red, poison dragon, ate Magellan's purple poison dragon. This scene is what worries Sengoku the most. If that man has the fruit ability similar to Magellan, or even the upper fruit ability of the poisonous fruit. Sengoku's heart became heavy. He knew that the appearance of Magellan was one of the key factors that had a huge impact on the battle situation in this summit war, but if there was a person with abilities similar to Magellan, or even a person with the upper level ability of the poisonous fruit, this result. Definitely the last thing Sengoku wants to see. Shichibukai here. Hey, it seems that a new troublesome guy has arrived, or should he be Whitebeard? Sengoku changed his mind, and Doflamingo was also stunned when he saw that Magellan's attack was useless. When he came back to his senses, Brother Ming saw Sengoku's serious face, he immediately knew what Sengoku was worried about, and the corners of his mouth could not help but twitch. Advertisement. This summit war seems to be starting to get more and more interesting as new troubles are added. But why don't I have any impression of this man? This sentence was added by Doflamingo muttering in his heart. As an intermediary in the underground dark world code-named Joker, Doflamingo has always been confident in his intelligence network, but this guy, the intelligence, is so little to almost none. Bai Ye is here. Sak and the others were also stunned. Seeing the Magellan poisonous dragon attacking, Saki immediately wanted to block Bai Ye. Weibo was arranged by Bai Ye to enter the fourth team. If it wasn't for Weibo, whether he is alive or not is a question. So Saki always remembered this kindness in his heart. When he saw the overwhelming purple poisonous dragon attacking, he resolutely chose to stand in front. At this moment, Saki was ready to give this life to his companion at any time. But after a while, Sage found that he was not swallowed by the terrifying poisonous dragon, and he didn't even feel the venom attack. What Saki saw was the sudden appearance of 3 red poisonous dragons, and then he ate the poisonous dragon with purple venom in one bite. And the red 3-headed poisonous dragon, the owner is Bai Ye. You, what on earth are you? The corners of Sachi's mouth trembled slightly, his blank brain hadn't yet formed the language to ask. After all, Bai Ye has never really shown a strong combat power in the Whitebeard Pirates. Even the captains think that Bai Ye may at most be stronger than ordinary people, and he only chose to join for the sake of his best friend. The Whitebeard Pirates. But now, Sachi couldn't think of it that way. With just one hand alone, Saki suddenly realized a fact. The fact that they have known Bai Ye for a long time has always been wrong. Advertisement. It seems that the other party has never said that he does not have any strength. Sachi thought that he was no less oppressive than Magellan at that moment, and even better than the red poisonous dragon. Sachi couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. Seeing Magellan approaching, he would want to let Bai Ye take the opportunity to leave and swallowed back. Obediently get out of the way. He couldn't help but look towards the direction where his father and Marine Admiral were fighting. Perhaps, this man joining this summit war will bring the decisive key to the Whitebeard Pirates. You, what did you do? Magellan's tone was dignified, and the 3 giant purple dragons had regrouped behind him while he stepped forward to speak. His poisonous dragon is the product of the poisonous fruit's ability. As long as the capable person does not die, it is naturally extremely easy to use the purple venom to reunite. Brother Bai Ye, just hand him over too. You go and help Marco and the others. Wabel saw Magellan recondense 3 huge purple poisonous dragons and walked towards the eldest brother. He was about to step forward with a naginata, but was stopped by Bai Ye. Hearing this, Wabel felt the oppressive feeling coming from Bai Ye. Wabel nodded. Okay, I'll listen to Big Brother. After speaking, Wabel ran to the most intense battle of the summit war. Wabel's strength is unquestionable. Magellan wanted to stop it, but facing the calmness of the man in front of him, Magellan dared not take a step away. Intuition told him that this man is far more troublesome than that guy just now. The reason why Bai Ye is immune to Magellan's fruit ability is something that Magellan can't figure out at all. Naturally, in the power system mastered by Bai Ye, it happened to be poisonous dragon slaying magic. Poison Dragon Slayer Magic, Proficiency 100. 015. Poison Giant's Judgment of Hell. Open black lens bracket. Ask for flower evaluation tickets. Close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... Whitebeard battles Akainu and Aokiji here. Akainu and Aokiji turned their heads and watched Magellan step by step towards the strange young man who participated in this summit war in the distance. The two looked solemn and looked at Whitebeard at the same time. Is that guy your last savior? Whitebeard. Although I don't know who that guy is, your end is already doomed. It was Akainu who spoke, and his whole body turned into black smoky lava, and Akainu's eyes were fixed on Whitebeard. It looks like a quick fight. From the beginning of this war until now, he suddenly discovered that there are too many possibilities in this war, so he absolutely does not allow any accidents in this summit war. When Whitebeard saw Bai Ye, his face was also full of surprise. He really didn't expect Bai Ye to participate in this summit war. Thinking of what he had done for this friend, Whitebeard knew in his heart that he wanted to leave that island in a short time, and then cross the red line from New World, Calm Belt, and finally arrive here. What a difficult thing to do inside. Even Whitebeard himself isn't sure he can do it. However, his friend still came. He is obviously a guy who likes to keep a low profile to the point where he can't keep a low profile, yet he is willing to expose himself to this war that the whole world pays attention to. Whitebeard seemed to have figured something out, and he couldn't help laughing loudly while holding Kong Yunqi's hand. Gu la la la. Whitebeard. You bastard. You are already in danger, why are you laughing? Akainu roared. Advertisement. The old man is laughing at something that you children will never understand. If this is the last journey of the old man is already satisfied. Whitebeard finished speaking with a big laugh, and chopped off at Akainu with one hand, and grabbed the void with 5 fingers with the other hand. A white crack emerged, and the shock fruit ability exploded towards Aokiji, carrying its own terrifying and oppressive force like a mountain, making Akainu grit his teeth and secretly channel monsters, attack. Of course it wasn't Akainu and Aokiji that Whitebeard was laughing at. He was really laughing, because having such a close friend, even if it is not a family member for an old guy who has come to the end of the old era and hopes to have a loving family, it is definitely better than a family member. ... At this time, Summit War. The addition of Wabel began to give the Whitebeard Pirates a great relief. The pressure on Marco and others was relieved. Although they were shocked by Bai Ye's true strength, they also knew that now is not the time to waste time. Moreover, Bai Ye brought Wabel into the battle, allowing all members of the Whitebeard Pirates to see a light called hope appear again. Bai Ye is in front of him at this moment. This is Magellan walking step by step, with the purple poisonous dragon dripping venom continuously behind him. With every step, large corrosion holes will appear on the ice under Magellan's feet, demonstrating the terrifying power of Magellan's poisonous fruit. Then, Magellan shot Bai Ye. The 3 heads recondensed, and the larger poisonous dragon attracted the attention of the world. Sengoku focused his attention and swallowed Bai Ye. Useless. Bai Ye faced 3 purple poisonous dragons. This is the scene where Magellan's mood gets heavier. Possesses an enhanced version of the poisonous dragon that can instantly kill hundreds of millions of pirates as long as it is contaminated. The man in front of me was not affected at all, but compared to Magellan's poisonous dragon, this is more like a real 3-headed red poisonous dragon. It is bigger, stronger, and more terrifying than Magellan's enhanced version of the poisonous dragon. Devour it with a dessert meal. Advertisement. At this moment, even Sengoku's heart sank completely with the poisonous dragon, and Magellan's face became even darker. This time, it was a tentative fight. Both Magellan and Sengoku have silently reached a result. The opponent is definitely demon fruit power. Even, it is very likely to be someone who has the ability of poisonous fruit and high-level fruit. Otherwise, it is absolutely impossible to swallow his enhanced version of the poisonous dragon so easily. Knowing this, Magellan already knew clearly that this guy in front of him was definitely a giant. No. It should be said that it was a monster enough to affect this war. Magellan was completely sure of this when he saw that the pirate venom that had been swallowed by the poisonous dragon quickly gathered towards this man. He can no longer hold back. Therefore, Magellan turned his head and glanced at Sengoku's acquiescence, the marine soldiers who were hundreds of meters away from him, and Magellan took a deep breath. Although there is a relationship between the upper and lower species of devil fruit, the abilities of devil fruit cannot overlap. So in theory, as long as the development is strong enough, the lower fruit also has the power to challenge and defeat the upper fruit. Therefore, he must use all his strength to drag this man in front of him before the end of the war. With that in mind, Magellan saw Sengoku nod in recognition. The next second, Magellan let out that breath slowly. Then, I saw Magellan starting with his feet as the center, and countless venoms surging like seawater quickly began to be released. First, the body releases purple venom, and then the continuously permeating venom suddenly changes color. These venoms are different from ordinary purple poisons, these venoms are as bright red as blood. This is regardless of the ice under the feet, the corpses left by the marine and the pirates, weapons, etc. Everything that comes into contact with this bright red venom spreading like a field will be engulfed and eroded by it. Until death. At this moment, even in the air within 100 meters around Magellan, there will not be any life forms. As for Magellan itself, looking at it now, what appeared behind Magellan was no longer a poisonous dragon, transformed from purple venom, but a bright red skull titan tens of meters high, like a Shinigami. Advertisement. This skeleton titan, dripping bright red venom from its body, is in this summit war, named Death. Giant soldier of poison, judgment of hell. Under the attention of the whole world, Magellan also slowly said the name of this move. This is his strongest move after the awakening of his poisonous fruit ability. Even the bright red venom is a specially made venom, which is far from being comparable to purple. It has the power to almost erode all life in this world, then die. It was he who was the most ferocious criminal in the world, the strongest, and the scariest killer in Impel down to deal with those guys on the 6th floor. Magellan thought that even in this war, he would not use this trick. Because once this move is used, it will be unimaginable to destroy everything including life. But facing the man in front of him, Magellan let go of all his contempt. He chose to use his full strength in this world-focused war. Hey, this is a terrible monster. What kind of move is that? In addition to the 3 admirals in Marine, is that monster also an admiral? This kind of power is too scary, too scary. How many monsters like this will be brought out in this summit war? All over the world, Sabayati Archipelago, New World, countless people who saw Magellan releasing the poison giants felt their nerves explode and their scalps go numb. Even if there were no poison giants behind Magellan at this time, no one would dare to underestimate Magellan now. Even, the appearance of this move has already represented Marine's showdown. Magellan is definitely a terrifying existence with admiral-level combat power. Another monster that was exposed in this war and stood at the top of the world. Of course, at this moment, countless people who felt their scalps tingle with the marine power suddenly realized that even the appearance of the poison giant was not as shocking as what they saw in the next second, and their breathing was almost stagnant. That terrifying poisonous giant soldier was pierced through. 016. Magellan's terrifying discovery open black lens bracket seeking flower evaluation tickets close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... Look, what happened? Just now, did anything happen? Gouda, what's going on with that terrifying hole? The whole world, Summit War, General Marine, Major, Lieutenant Colonel, Colonel, Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral and many more. The moment Magellan used the poison giant, it attracted the attention of the participants in this war and even the whole world. Then, what did they see? Behind Magellan is the bright red skull venom Shinigami, which is tens of meters high. In the next moment, all eyes were pierced through. I saw that this is a terrifying hole with a diameter of more than several meters. More than 1/3 of the entire poison giant soldier's body has almost disappeared, and half of the body composed of bright red venom of more than 10 meters has almost completely disappeared. All that was left was the venom continuously dripping from the incomplete body of the bright red poisonous giant soldier, which represented the traces that had completely appeared just now. Just now, what did you do? At this moment, Magellan's pupils widened, and his eyes were fixed on the man in front of him. Magellan's widened shocked pupils showed that he had seen something far more shocking than the man in front of him suspected of possessing a poisonous fruit, a superior fruit. Magellan lowered his head and stretched out his hand to touch his chest. Bloodline appeared on his hand. Looking from Magellan's front, Magellan's body had already been opened with a big hole. If it were an ordinary person, this kind of injury would probably have killed him, but the physical fitness of the monsters in One Piece world cannot be judged by common sense. Even if a hole like the poisonous giant was opened in the body, Magellan could still barely keep standing in the original position. Ground physical strength. But now, even if he still has the strength to make another move, Magellan's rationality believes that his current problem is far more important than his injury. This man just now. Advertisement. Magellan was convinced that he saw something that should never exist in this world. You mean this? Bai Ye looked at Magellan and fell silent. Magellan stared at Bai Ye, his dilated pupils instantly seemed to see, impossible, and venom and sweat began to ooze from his forehead. Magellan's pupils narrowed slowly, which meant that the whole person was completely shocked. This situation. This is impossible. It's just. No, wrong. It should be said, how could such a monster exist in the world? Magellan. What the hell happened? Here in Sengoku, since Magellan's bright red poisonous giant is tens of meters tall and terrifying, and the surrounding area is filled with bright red spreading poison, even if Magellan's poisonous giant has a large hole of more than 1/3, it is still enough to cover. Here's the situation. In other words, the whole world, and this summit war, including Sengoku, didn't know what horror Magellan saw, and cold sweat began to appear on his forehead. But even Magellan, let's be honest, Magellan himself is in a horrible shock right now. As Magellan thought, this monster, or to be precise, this man, how could it be born in this era? I don't have much time to waste with you, so please, just get down. Cold sweat kept dripping from Magellan's forehead, and he was in a huge shock. When he heard this sentence, Magellan came back to his senses and wanted to use the poison giant to stop it. However, before the giant poisonous soldier touched the man in front of him, his giant poisonous soldier began to collapse and disintegrate rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye, and all the poison had been concentrated towards the man in front of him. Feeling the power that he couldn't resist at all, Magellan couldn't help but smile wryly. Although I don't know what abilities the poisonous fruit and high-ranking fruit have, but the facts prove. The other party is stronger than him no matter how it is developed, used, or controlled. Advertisement. With his strength, there is no way to stop the man in front of him. However, there was only one reason why Magellan was terrified the most. The man in front of me should not exist in this world, let alone born in this era. Magellan used his full strength to intimidate the whole world, showing the horror background of marine and world government. But what happened in the next second shocked the whole world. The reason started from the fact that the whole world didn't know what happened just now. Why did Magellan, a monster with Marine Admiral level strength, all of a sudden lose? Could it be that that guy is as big as Marine? No. Even surpasses Admiral's strength. Beyond the strength of Marine Admiral. How can it be? Doesn't that mean it can be compared? All over the world, countless people suddenly thought of this, and suddenly there was a huge wave in their hearts. Coincidentally, I couldn't help but have a shuddering thought. Comparable to the apex of pirates known as King's Landing New World, the Emperor of the Sea, 4 emperors. In other words, this summit war is not over yet. That bastard, what the hell did you do? I don't know that I like the toys that bring entertainment to me. Damn guy, I ordered you to arrest that bastard. Sengoku here. Sengoku fell silent when he saw the result of Magellan's simple and strange sudden defeat. Then, Sengoku heard the celestial dragons screaming wantonly next to him, and Sengoku's entire face darkened. These bloody stupid pigs, Magellan is one of the top fighters of the marine government and the world government. The guy who can beat Magellan is instantly on his list. Advertisement. Even if he is a fool now, he should be able to see that that guy may affect the direction of this war. At this time, who has time to manage the nobles of the world? Sengoku currently only hopes that these stupid pigs must not cause trouble at this critical moment of the summit war. Zon, Marshal Sengoku. At this time, a weak voice rang from the phone bug in Sengoku's hand. The owner of the voice is none other than Magellan. Hearing that it was Magellan, Sengoku immediately asked, Magellan. What happened just now? What happened? Sengoku was eager to know this question. What happened just now was too sudden, and Magellan's defeat even revealed a tinge of trepidation. If he could know what happened just now, it would definitely help him defeat that man. It cannot be ignored. Magellan fell silent. Magellan then asked Sengoku to connect the phone bug to the audible phone bug that can be heard throughout Summit War. Magellan, your request has been fulfilled, is it okay now? When Sengoku heard Magellan's request, He immediately realized that Magellan had definitely discovered some kind of shocking secret about the man and needed to let all the Marines involved in this war know, so he asked the person in charge of the sound and shadow phone bug to connect without asking any questions. Holding the phone bug in his blood-stained hand, Magellan made sure that the phone bug was connected to the entire Summit War sound and shadow phone bug, which could spread his voice across the battlefield. Magellan took a slow breath and made an inevitable decision in his mind. He brought the phone bug to his mouth, and after a few seconds of silence. Afterwards, Magellan spoke of what he had just seen, which was enough to silence the entire world and feel horrified by it. That man. Has 2 devil fruit abilities. Boom. It was as if a bomb had been dropped in the ears of everyone in Summit War, and the news suddenly swept through everyone like a storm, shocking and numbing everyone's nerves. 017. A feast for monsters standing at the top of the world. Open black lens bracket 2/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 2 devil fruit abilities. Bagana. How can such a thing exist? Hey. This must be a lie. A lie, right? Magellan's voice radiates throughout the Summit War from the orange shadow phone bug. All the people who heard Magellan's words went blank for a short time, and their pupils were filled with unspeakable horror and shock. 2 devil fruit abilities. Everyone in the world knows that although devil fruit is known as the secret treasure gifted by the sea, it is also known as the incarnation of the sea devil, and the devil's trade is lodged in the fruit. That is to say, the powerful ability obtained by eating the fruit is like a devil, but it must be noted that because devil fruit is the incarnation of the devil, no matter who, anyone, a person can only eat 1 fruit in his whole life. Devil fruit has a devil fruit ability. If one eats more than 1 fruit out of greed for power, the body will explode because it cannot bear the devil's curse. In this world, there were many people who didn't believe it, so they tried to take risks and forcibly ate 2 devil fruits, but the end result was that they exploded and died under the eyes of everyone. In the same way, both humans and animals have the same ending. Since then, anyone can only eat 1 devil fruit, which has become the default rule for ability users in the world. No one dares to try to obtain 2 devil fruit abilities, even the world government has to give up. However, it is such a rule that has been passed down for hundreds of years, and at this moment, it is broken by a young man. Dual demon fruit power. Gurgling. At this time, whether it is all the positions of the Summit War, Marines, pirates, or countless forces around the world, they can't help but dilate their pupils and swallow their saliva under the shocking nerves. The shocked pupils showed their unbelievability. Advertisement. How can there be such a person in this world? Even they are with this man exposed by Summit War. No, they should exist in the same era as this monster. Double demon fruit power. It's impossible. Aokiji and Akainu here, both of them were shocked by Magellan's words at the same time. As Admiral, the highest combat power of the Marine government, and a Logia fruit-capable user, no one knows better than them what eating 2 devil fruits represents. This is a fact that shouldn't be allowed to exist, but now someone has broken the rule since the devil fruit was born. This kind of thing. Are you kidding? Bastard. Akainu gritted his teeth, clenched his fists into black rock lava, and stared at Whitebeard. Whitebeard. You knew this kind of thing a long time ago, right? Whitebeard did not answer Akainu, but the shock in his eyes slowly dissipated, and he laughed loudly. Gu la la la. No matter what happened to that guy, I will no longer doubt it now. Bai Ye boy, you can tell me it was a surprise. The last sentence was muttered silently by Whitebeard with shock in his heart. Over the decades of being a friend, Whitebeard has discovered that this friend has absolutely great strength. From the details of life, Bai Ye can bring Wable back. When Bai Ye occasionally encounters the red-haired kid and Bai Ye is not affected by any conquerors, Whitebeard slowly has a guess in his heart. But Whitebeard really didn't expect that his close friend turned out to be a double fruit ability. Thinking of this, Whitebeard's shocked heart slowly calmed down, and he couldn't help but smile. Indeed, as he said, there were too many accidents today, and now no matter what happens to his best friend, he should not be surprised anymore. There is no other reason, this is the so-called friends who have known each other for more than 10 years. Even if it's not real family, it's better than family. Advertisement. For the family, naturally there is no need for any doubts, just like Whitebeard knew that he could predict the result, but still chose to come to meet this Summit War. 2 kinds of demon fruit power. Bastard, who the hell is that guy? No, how did that guy do it? Here in Shichibukai, Moria heard Magellan's words spread all over the battlefield, and if you look carefully, you will find that Moria's body can't help trembling because of the terrifying shock at this moment, and she screams. 2 kinds of demon fruit power. Anyone who has demon fruit power clearly knows that this is simply not allowed to exist in the world's rules. But this rule was broken. And this guy is still on Whitebeard's side. Faced with this terrifying existence that was more monster than monster, Moria now completely lost the desire to stay in this Summit War. This Summit War has already brought out too many monsters: Magellan, the ability of poisonous fruit, the Marine Science Corps pacifist, celestial dragons, plus 2 kinds of demon fruit power that appeared at this time, and the one that looks like a mad cow. The unstoppable Wable. Moria felt that as long as she was not a fool, she would know that this summit war could not continue. He has an instinct that even for Shichibukai, it is extremely dangerous to participate in this kind of war. Extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. With these monsters exposed to the whole world one by one along with the summit war, this war is no longer an ordinary war in Moria's view. Rather, it belongs to the feast of monsters standing at the top of the world. That man. Not far away, the Empress looked in the direction of the world-shocking gaze, her pupils also flickered with shock, and before she knew it, she had lightly bit her thumbnail, revealing her shock. Similarly, there are Hawkeye Sengoku and others. At this time, Doflamingo suddenly glanced at Moria who was showing fear, and raised his fingertips. Then, Doflamingo does something that puts a horrified look on Moria's face. Foo 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 foo, Moria, are you afraid of that man? Advertisement. Bastard. Brother Ming, you are not talking nonsense. Moria yelled. Facing such a monster, who would not be afraid? I'm afraid it's only at the level of Admiral, maybe it's better. Thinking of this, Moria couldn't help opening her mouth when she saw Akainu Aokiji, even Kizaru above was shocked. Foo 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 foo, since this is the case, what do you think? What will happen if you shoot at that man? What do you mean? Huh, no, wait, do you want to? Damn it, you bastard, Brother Ming, stop me. When Moria heard this, he saw Brother Ming controlling Marine to rush towards the distant monster, and his face was terrified. Then, Moria saw a horrifying scene. All the Marines who were controlled by Doflamingo to rush towards the man with unknown abilities all lost control and fell on the ice as soon as they entered the 100-meter range, as if Mingo's fruit ability seemed to be cut off by something. Then, from Moria's point of view, the monster that had been positioned in his heart like the four emperors glanced here. This is only a short moment, but Moria's heart feels like falling into an ice cave, as if time has stopped. As for Doflamingo Mingo, he has completely stayed where he is. If you look carefully, you will find cold sweat dripping down Brother Ming's forehead. It wasn't until the man looked away that Doflamingo immediately squatted down on the ground due to loss of strength, panting heavily. Doflamingo looked down at his trembling palms, recalling the feeling of that moment. Doflamingo covered his face with his hand, and there was an expression of fear or excitement on the corner of his mouth. Just now, Doflamingo, he can already be sure, the sense of fear and oppression brought by that look. He is like facing the monster standing at the apex of the New World, who is known as the Emperor of the Sea, Four Emperors. 018. War Among Monsters open black lens bracket 3/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This war, now is the real beginning of the monsters standing at the top of the world. Foo 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 foo. Doflamingo panted heavily, looked up at the summit war in front of him, opened his arms in the form of squatting on the ground, and celebrated. But he wanted to stand up. But recalling the terrifying oppressive feeling, Doflamingo suddenly realized that it had been so many years, facing that oppressive feeling, standing under the gaze of the monster for a short while, had already sucked him out. Strength. In other words, it deserves to be a monster that hides so deeply that it is comparable to the Emperor of the Sea. Thereafter, with the arrival of Bai Ye, expose the world in Summit War, this Summit War has ushered in a new beginning that has shocked and numbed the nerves of the whole world. This message is not only felt by both sides of the Summit War, but also the whole world. Everyone is absolutely convinced that this is definitely an unprecedented summit war. At this moment, it is time for monsters, and it has arrived. Regardless of victory or defeat, this war is destined to have a huge impact on the future from this moment on, enough to shake the entire current era. Summit War. At this time, after Bai Ye defeated Magellan, wherever he walked, as long as he encountered a pirate under the Whitebeard Pirate group, he would take the initiative to make way for him, without anyone needing to speak. The Marines flinched and backed away. Whether it was the colonel, the rear admiral, or the ordinary vice admiral, all of them looked so dignified. For a moment, no one dared to attack Bai Ye. Advertisement. As a result, wherever Bai Ye went, this war was full of more terrifying oppressive scenes than Magellan. The fact that this happens shows that Bai Ye is tacitly accepted, an existence that is enough to shake this war, and no one dares to ignore it. It's such a guy who hides very deeply. If I can go back, it seems that I will ask for advice when I have a chance in the future. In the distance, Marco and the flying squirrel were fighting. Seeing the scene where Marine voluntarily retreated on the battlefield, he tried his best to suppress the shock in his heart and scratched his hair. Many fellow pirates around looked at him with weird faces, but Marco, as the captain of the first team, didn't show any embarrassment on his face. After all, asking the strong for advice is the quickest way to increase your strength. Well, things like the identity of the captain of the first team, just temporarily lose it. Anyway, when Dad and Bai Ye were drinking, he, the captain of the first team, was often obviously a part-time ship doctor, but he was used by these two people as a tool for pouring wine. Not a good memory for Marco. Of course, he said he was going to ask for advice, but definitely not now. Marco looked up and past the flying squirrel, and looked at Ace who was not far away, and a gleam flashed in Marco's eyes. At this time, now is a good opportunity. Whitebeard fights Marine Admiral here. Hey Akainu, it looks like things are going to get troublesome. Here Aokiji. Aokiji saw the direction where all the pirates of Summit War gave way, his face gradually became serious. Now, he and Akainu are dealing with Whitebeard in front of him. With Whitebeard's physical condition, as long as this Summit War continues according to the original development, Aokiji is absolutely sure. Advertisement. But at this moment, that troublesome man is walking here. 2 vs 2. Aokiji couldn't help but look at where Sengoku was. The meaning is very simple: if this happens, there is absolutely no way to proceed as planned. If this man intervenes, the development of the Summit War, which has been prepared for several days, will no longer be controllable. Or, Aokiji has already silently believed that from the moment this troublesome man arrived in this war, the original situation of Summit War has gradually begun to go out of Marine's control. Above, seeing Aokiji's eyes, Sengoku naturally understood what Aokiji meant. Looking at the man who constantly shocked him, Sengoku has scolded the Marine Intelligence Organization several times in his heart. This kind of monster is actually designated as an intelligence officer. If intelligence personnel are like this, Marine still plays snakes. Wasn't it wiped out by pirates all over the world? Even if he knew that the information Marine possessed was except for major omissions, Sengoku could only grit his teeth and bear it now. The only thing to be happy about now. I just hope that what I saw just now is the full strength of that man. Although the opponent easily defeated Magellan, Sengoku has reason to believe that this is the relationship between the opponent's suspected poisonous fruit and superior species. Normally, there is a restraint relationship between the upper and lower devil fruits, and Magellan's strength is comparable to Admiral's, precisely because of the terrifying poison and fruit ability. If Magellan loses this most fundamental power, his strength will naturally be greatly reduced. Advertisement. In other words, Sengoku thinks the most troublesome question about this man right now is what is the other fruit ability of the other party. Thinking of this, Sengoku originally planned to let Kizaru participate, but when he thought that Kizaru would leave, celestial dragons would most likely become a hidden danger of trouble, Sengoku gritted his teeth. It seems that even if he is the marshal, he will make a move. Ordinary people in this world only know him as the Marine Marshal now, but before he became the Marine Marshal, don't forget that Sengoku once served as the highest combat power of the naval headquarters. Admiral. Sengoku glanced at Ace's direction. Sengoku suddenly saw that Garp took the initiative to sit in Admiral Akainu's position for some time, and Crane sighed. He immediately understood and clenched his fists. Subsequently, Sengoku, the Marine Marshal, also joined the Summit War. At this moment, this war has completely become a war destined to affect the changes of the times, and now it belongs to the war between monsters standing at the top of the world. P.S. At this point, the author feels the need to explain what happened to Magellan. The main core of Magellan's admiral strength is around the almost unsolvable poison. If the poison fruit ability loses its effect, Magellan's strength will definitely be greatly reduced. This discount is only relative to the protagonist possessing poisonous dragon-slaying magic. After all, according to One Piece World, the poisonous fruit is likely to be the highest-ranked poisonous devil fruit. Any one of the admirals can be touched, there is no doubt about it. But in front of the protagonist, you can roughly imagine how far Kizaru's strength will drop if he loses speed, so please don't get entangled in this point. The author has thought about the combat power. If you have any suggestions, you can also point out in the comments. This chapter is relatively excessive. Finally, I silently asked for a wave of flower evaluation votes. %019. This is probably Aokiji can't see anything worse than the situation open black lens bracket 4/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Since Summit War started, it has been shaking the whole world. The inheritance of the worst blood, the real purpose behind Marine's execution, is larger than the war fought by hundreds of thousands of people in naval headquarters. Thereafter, this is a horror battle among monsters standing at the apex of the world. The sea was instantly frozen. Lava fell from the sky like a meteor, like a natural disaster. Bright red poison giants called Shinigami eat everything away. Sengoku transforms into a golden Buddha, sending out a shock wave that can easily destroy a warship with every hit. The battles that have taken place in the Summit War at this moment have made the whole world tremble and cannot be calmed down. Those horror-level battles above. I am afraid that any one person can easily destroy a kingdom. This is not the power that humans should have at all. Even in this war there are also monsters that should not be born in this era, and monster men appear. So what's next? Everyone around the world watching this war can't help but feel their scalps go numb. After this war, their nerves have been gradually swallowed by the constant shock. I'm afraid that no matter what war they see in the future, it will not cause any fluctuations. Advertisement. And what the hell are they looking at now? A war that is enough to change the world pattern and is related to the changes of the times. Still, since the days of Whitebeard, a King's Landing Grand Line, standing at the top of the new world, a new emperor of the sea is born. Naval headquarters. Akainu and Aokiji are already on full swing. But this time Akainu and Aokiji's opponents have been replaced by Bai Ye. At this time, both of them had solemn and angry expressions on their faces. Aokiji's dignified, naturally he knows that this man in front of him is definitely a huge trouble. As soon as they fought, Aokiji knew that the opponent definitely had a combat power comparable to Admiral. This is true in any respect. Akainu's anger is because Akainu just wanted to use Dark Hound to continue to expand Whitebeard's injury while Whitebeard was relaxing. Akainu's idea is simple. This summit war has reached such a point, if Marine wants to win, he needs a key opportunity. This opportunity, of course, is that Whitebeard, the core of the Whitebeard Pirates, died in this summit war. As long as Whitebeard dies, in Akainu's view, the entire Whitebeard pirate group will collapse, and the outcome of this summit war is self-evident. But this great opportunity failed. The beginning of failure is the source of Akainu's greatest anger at this time. He actually felt fear from the eyes of the man in front of him just now. The moment he aimed the Dark Hound at Whitebeard's chest wound, Akainu suddenly saw fear for a split second. Advertisement. That was the look in his eyes when he punched him hard like Whitebeard. Akainu's suppressed fear of Whitebeard resurfaced at that moment. Although it was still a short moment, Akainu forcibly suppressed him, but with Akainu's character, Akainu couldn't accept it at all. He couldn't accept losing an opportunity, and he couldn't accept that as Admiral, he was in front of a kid who obviously didn't have any reputation. Feel the fear, even if it's just for a moment. It is absolutely not allowed. The fist that turned into dripping lava trembled slightly, half of Akainu's sinking face was in shadow, and the other half of his veins were exposed. Represents that Akainu is not trembling with fear, but with anger. Unspeakable anger gushing from the bottom of my heart. The guy who is not needed in this era. Go to hell. Great eruption. Akainu gritted his teeth, turned his right hand backwards, and blasted out a terrifying lava burst forward. This blow was a move that injured Whitebeard. It was powerful enough to instantly turn an island into a sea of flames and destroy it. Then, the blow blasted forward, taking Akainu's rage even as the ice around his feet melted and crumbled. Then, Akainu didn't see half of Bai Ye's body being melted by the high temperature in an instant, and even Akainu found that the big jet of fire that he blasted actually had no effect on the man in front of him. How is this possible? Akainu's face suddenly changed. In this short moment, Akainu's mind entered a fast-thinking mode. Was it because he fought Whitebeard? Some of the broken ribs in the body have been inserted into the internal organs, causing the early consumption of half of the physical strength. As soon as this thought came up, Akainu pushed it down again in a blink of an eye. This is impossible, absolutely impossible to happen. As Admiral, even if his physical strength is mostly consumed due to injuries and battles, it is impossible for him to be incapable of causing any damage to humans. Even for Whitebeard, the traces of lava burns on his fists mean that he is not immune. Akainu gritted his teeth, not knowing what was going on, and looked in the direction of his great eruption. Then, Akainu's eyes widened for a moment, and his heart was shocked again. I saw Bai Ye's hand was burning. Golden flame. Akainu almost subconsciously thought of Magellan telling everyone in Summit War that they need to be careful about the message that the other party has two kinds of devil fruit abilities. Advertisement. Then, compare the scene in front of you. Could it be that one of them is? Damn it. Akainu's forehead bulged with veins, thinking that he had figured out the answer. He almost roared out. Could it be that the second devil fruit ability you have is related to flames? As a Logia lava fruit capable user, the answer to being immune to the high temperature of his lava fruit is naturally ready to come out. At this time, even Aokiji, who was on the side, chose to remain silent when he saw this scene. Aokiji's mind is much calmer than Akainu's. He can analyze the current situation with a very rational mind, which is why Sengoku will recommend Aokiji as the Marine Marshal in the future. At this moment, Aokiji can judge that the opponent's first ability can be determined to be related to Magellan's poisonous fruit ability, and it is very likely to be the same type of upper species devil fruit ability. So Aokiji knew that he did not have the temperature of Akainu that could kill all poisons, so he would not choose to approach Bai Ye easily. But now, the opponent's second devil fruit ability can be roughly guessed. Is the fire or temperature related type devil fruit ability? Although I don't know if it's Logia. But, no matter what kind of fruit ability it is, the person in front of me is a more difficult guy than Whitebeard. Aokiji spoke his conclusion slowly, and the solemn expression on his face became deeper. This man in front of him. A devil fruit with a suspected poisonous fruit ability, plus a flame-related devil fruit that is immune to the temperature of Akainu. In this situation, this is probably the worst thing Aokiji can think of. 020. Wayward Whitebeard open black lens bracket 5/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Gu la la la. Bai Ye boy, is this the second devil fruit ability you have? Later, Whitebeard wanted to remind Bai Ye to be careful of Akainu's move. When Whitebeard saw that Akainu's lava was caught by Bai Ye, it was not damaged at all. Whitebeard was taken aback for a moment, but when he came back to his senses, he instantly realized that Bai Ye's body was resistant to high temperatures. This ability is very likely to come from another devil fruit ability. This ability, Whitebeard has seen a lot of this ability in many people in the long time of Whitebeard's life. For example, Marco's Phoenix fruit has the property of flames. Even before an even longer era, Whitebeard once saw a person with the ability of hot fruit, which has absolute resistance to high temperature, even if it is swimming in magma. It also won't take any damage at all. Therefore, this ability is not very rare in Whitebeard's view, and it is an ability worthy of shock. But this ability happened to appear in Bai Ye, his best friend, and the opponent was a Kainu who was like a mad dog with the ability of lava fruit. How uncomfortable would a Kainu be at this time? Whitebeard can probably guess how uncomfortable a Kainu will be just by looking at a Kainu's bulging face. You say demon fruit power is devil fruit ability, Whitebeard. There was a golden flame burning in Bai Ye's hand. Seeing Whitebeard's tall body who was injured and still not forgetting to joke, Bai Ye glanced at his attribute panel. Fire Dragon Slayer Magic, Proficiency 100. Fire Dragon Slayer Magic, this is an ancient magic system lost in the world of fairy tale. It is said to be used to fight against the power of dragon. This power system will transform the holder into the corresponding physique according to the corresponding magical attributes. Advertisement. For example, the owner of the Fire Dragon Slayer magic can eat all the flames in the world and transform them into their own power. It is a Dragon Slayer magic that can freely manipulate fire, and can even turn the body into flames and manipulate destructive creatures. It is an overwhelmingly destructive type of Dragon Slayer magic that attacks with superheated flames. This ability, if you just look at it on the surface, is indeed extremely similar to the Devil Fruit in One Piece world. However, since he was mistaken for the first double demon fruit power that shocked the world before Blackbeard, then Bai Ye is too lazy to explain. Considering the brain capacity of this friend Whitebeard, well, it is convenient. After all, the dragon slaying magic he has fully mastered is not limited to fire dragon slaying magic and poisonous dragon slaying magic. It is worth mentioning that the flame color of the Fire Dragon Slayer magic user is not limited to a single one, but has the power to have the corresponding color and characteristics by eating any flame. The reason why Bai Ye's Fire Dragon Slaying magic is a golden flame is only because he has fully mastered this power. Just like Kaido and others are the four emperors after they become famous, but for Whitebeard, it is only because the Sea Emperor is the apex of the new world that he is considered the Sea Emperor by the world. The strongest man in the world. It is such a simple truth. La, we've known each other for so long, but what you say is still as interesting. Whitebeard was taken aback when he heard this, and couldn't help laughing. You'd better stay here honestly for a while, with your current physical condition. Bai Ye said here slowly, looking at this friend who has known him for more than 10 years, and said in a low voice, if you continue to be self-willed, but you will dead. Hearing this, Whitebeard finally regained some seriousness on his face. Die. Saying the word slowly, Whitebeard looked down as if missing something. Then, Whitebeard held one of the world's only 12 great swords, Kong Yunchi, with one hand. He raised his tall body slowly, and looked up at the Summit War, the golden Buddha that kept attacking the Whitebeard Pirates. The two eyes looked at each other from afar. Advertisement. He opened his mouth and said calmly, the old man has rested enough. Bai Ye boy, if you want to stand in front of me just because of a word of death, you should understand. The moment everyone in this world becomes a pirate, their lives no longer belong to me. The old man is now a remnant of the old era, and the future of this era belongs to you young people. After Whitebeard uttered the sentence that could represent the last remnant of the old times in the life of a strong man. The next moment, Whitebeard's eyes were fixed, and he inserted Kong Yunchi into the ice under his feet. Afterwards, Whitebeard's arm muscles swelled up. The white shock fruit ability aura appeared along with the blue veins, reappearing in the clenched fist with 5 fingers. In the next second, before the terrifying power erupted, the ice under Whitebeard's feet had already spread a series of terrifying depressions and cracks of more than 10 meters in the face of the pressure from the man above him. Spread in all directions. You wayward guy. You still look the same. Bai Ye felt Whitebeard's aura, and there was a hint of nostalgia in his tone. Although he is a time traveler, Bai Ye has known Whitebeard for more than 10 years, and he knows exactly who Whitebeard is. This guy, no matter what difficulties he faces, will always be a willful guy in front of his family, worthy of the name Whitebeard that symbolizes an era. Whitebeard won't let you get away. At this time, Whitebeard's actions naturally attracted Marine, who was at war with the Whitebeard Pirates. This is another Titan Vice Admiral. He wears a bone mask on his head. What he holds in his hand is not a big knife this time, but a black iron mace tens of meters long. He roars and rushes forward, thinking to interrupt Whitebeard. You guys who are in the way. Really, none of you have a long memory. Out of the corner of Whitebeard's eye, he saw the Titan Vice Admiral rushing towards him. He sighed, and stuck Kong Yunchi in place. Titan Vice Admiral rushed in front of Whitebeard with heavy steps, and the mace fell down. It seemed that Whitebeard was about to be smashed into a puddle of flesh. However, the next moment, Whitebeard grabbed the Titan Vice Admiral weapon weighing several thousand catties with one hand. Advertisement. Pulling hard, Titan Vice Admiral was horrified to discover his own strength. And lost. The body is involuntarily pulled in front of Whitebeard. Seeing that his body was obviously not that big compared to him, and at this moment, as if facing the oppressive feeling of an unshakable mountain, Titan Vice Admiral's pupils suddenly shrank. Then, Whitebeard held down Titan Vice Admiral's head with one hand, and it was as easy as beating a child. The entire Titan Vice Admiral's head viciously boomed. With a sound, he fell into the broken ice layer under his feet. One strike. Another spike. Seeing this scene, Marine couldn't help trembling with fear. That monster has power. The Whitebeard Pirates couldn't help cheering loudly when they saw Dad's actions. Whitebeard here. Whitebeard watched the entire battlefield refocus, but suddenly looked at Bai Ye, maintaining the posture of the white crack on the front of one arm, and said with a smile, Bai Ye boy, even if there is no one in this era who can carry the old man boat, don't underestimate any remnants of the old era. Gurg la la la. Forget it. Bai Ye saw that Whitebeard's next blow was aimed at Sengoku, rubbed his forehead, and knew Whitebeard's character as a friend, so he reminded, don't die easily, don't forget to owe a friend some what should be said face to face. Gu la la la, Bai Ye boy, it's a deal. Afterwards, Whitebeard looked at Sengoku and shouted, Sengoku, the old man's head is here. If you have the ability, come and get it. As soon as the words fell, the terrifying shock fruit ability accumulated suddenly exploded, and the entire summit wore the distance from Whitebeard to Sengoku. Amidst the shock of the world's attention, Whitebeard unexpectedly blasted a road that spread for thousands of meters. At the end of the road is Sengoku, who has transformed into a golden Buddha. 021. Battle of Remnants in the Old Era. Open black lens bracket 1/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... Whitebeard, does he intend to let the new era be opened by the new era guy, and the old era's remnants be determined by the old era's opponents? Marine 3 Admiral was sitting on the high platform. Beside Garp, the silent crane saw Sengoku walking towards Whitebeard in the form of a golden Buddha. Her eyes then swept over Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru and others, and finally landed on Whitebeard, raised her head and said slowly, but, even so, as long as this man dies in this summit war, this war, maybe it will come to an end. Garp. Don't underestimate Whitebeard, that guy has the power to destroy the world, and is recognized as the strongest pirate in the world. Garp looked down, and just as he finished speaking in a low voice, Sengoku and Whitebeard had met from the road across the battlefield in the distance. Sengoku maintains the golden Buddha form. Although Whitebeard's strong body had bloodline flowing from the injury, no one dared to underestimate this man. Sengoku stared at Whitebeard in front of him, and was not in a hurry to start. Instead, he said the real purpose behind this war. Whitebeard, the ultimate purpose of this war is to destroy you, the most powerful pirate in the world. What else will it be? Whitebeard was taken aback when he heard this, and suddenly burst out laughing. Whitebeard, what are you laughing at? Sengoku's face darkened. After a burst of laughter, Whitebeard waved his hands, raised his head and looked at his old opponent who had been fighting for almost an era in front of him, slowly sighed and shook his head and said, the world's strongest pirate. Hey, please forgive me. Sengoku, this old man is just an ordinary person with only one heart. No matter whether he is called a demon or a monster by this world, he cannot always be the strongest. What you can see now is my head in front of you right now. The world of the old era will sooner or later be replaced by new young people. This war, open your eyes and see, Sengoku. The footsteps of the new era cannot be stopped by remnants of the old era like you and me. Advertisement. One day, there will be more powerful guys to replace the old man, and there will be guys who dare to challenge the taboos. This new era is destined to move forward. Do you think you and the guys behind you in the highest dark place can stop it? Sengoku. Whitebeard's eyes fell. Damn. Sengoku gritted his teeth. I've said all I need to say, let's get started, Sengoku. After Whitebeard finished speaking, he stopped talking nonsense with Sengoku. The two sides are old opponents who have fought against pirates for almost an era. A tacit understanding between the two sides has already been formed. Out of the corner of Sengoku's eye, he looked at the man who got Aokiji and Akainu into huge trouble. Sengoku gritted his teeth, raised his hand, and the golden shock wave that could directly smash an island directly blasted towards Whitebeard without reservation. Whitebeard, if we can't stop the pace of the times. But at least, your last journey can only end here. Gu la la la. If you have the ability, let the horse come here. Sengoku, I have been waiting for you for a long time. I don't know how long you have been the Marshal of Marine, how much of your strength can be left. Whitebeard's gaze was fixed, and he held the supreme sharp knife 12 Gong Kong Yunchi, and suddenly moved forward to slash the golden Buddha form Sengoku with a shock wave. Before the waving Kong Yunchi actually touched Sengoku's golden shock wave, the sound of ka ka dong sounded continuously. I saw Kong Yunchi slashing past, and the space in front of Whitebeard could be seen with the naked eye. Numerous space cracks were collapsed by the shock fruit's power. Advertisement. The collision of the two. At this moment, the terrifying wind pressure spread in all directions, and Marine opened his mouth wide in shock. Shunin couldn't help covering his hat to prevent it from being blown away. But this is not over yet. After that, this is the overwhelming aftermath that will shatter the entire ground under the feet of Whitebeard and Sengoku for at least hundreds of meters. The deep cracks in the earth that were abruptly shaken out by the aftermath even spread to the wall of the marine in the distance, and irregular dark cracks appeared on it. It shows that this is just a one-hit collision. In this world, in the entire Summit War, countless people couldn't help but open their mouths, and vaguely saw that it was far from being comparable to today's greenhouse pirate era, and opened up a corner of the dark old era that was once extremely vicious. Then, the battle between Sengoku and Whitebeard officially began. Sengoku in golden Buddha form. Whitebeard bursting with strength. The collision of the two remnants of the old era is like a blazing fire that ignites a light that shocks the world. And as these two monsters from old times fight, almost a third of the Summit Wars were played between these two men. Marine, Pirates, Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral, and Whitebeard's captains all took the initiative to step aside. At this moment, even Kizaru, who is staying next to the Celestial Dragons and is responsible for protecting the paddling, watching Sengoku and Whitebeard below you punch, I kick, golden shock wave, shock fruit ability, any collision at least contains the power to destroy small islands, Kizaru was stunned. Advertisement. Is this still the martial Sengoku he knows inside? Question mark question mark question mark. He originally thought that the strength of monsters in Marine would more or less regress like Mr. Zephyr. After all, even Mr. Garp was hacked by an unknown Colonel Marine with an axe half a year ago when he went to East Blue. Not to mention Marshal Sengoku, who has not shot for decades after taking over the position of Marshal. But now, the battle that almost destroyed everything in front of him, in a word, has shocked Kizaru for 30 years, completely subverting Kizaru's cognition of monsters in the old era. And Whitebeard, what a horrible monster. Kizaru couldn't help sighing as he looked at the battle that belonged to the remnants of the old era. Suddenly, Kizaru heard a panting sound, followed by a terrified sound from the Celestial Dragon's guard next to him. Kizaru thought that some pirates were eyeing Celestial Dragons. After all, Celestial Dragons is such a big and bright target. Without him, how could it be so safe? Kizaru looked in the frightened direction of the Celestial Dragon's guards, and when he saw the person coming, Kizaru couldn't help being slightly taken aback. This is Magellan. %022. It's time for someone to put an end to this war. Open black lens bracket 2/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hey, Magellan, don't run around with this kind of injury. If you die, the old man will have a headache too. Kizaru looked. Magellan was covering the bloody red wound on his body with one hand. Since all the venom had been extracted, Magellan was almost extremely weak as a poisoner. I am afraid that the few physical strength used to maintain the injury was consumed here. Kizaru immediately ordered the Celestial Dragon's guards to get out of the way. They were from Marine, and they called for Magellan to heal his wounds. Only then did Magellan have a chance to recover gradually. Magellan, are you planning to leave the war? As Admiral, Kizaru naturally knows Magellan's true identity, the trump card responsible for the highest level of security in Impel Down. This war has progressed here, and Magellan's injury can't help much at present. The best choice is to wait. The Summit War is over. Looking at Magellan, Kizaru suddenly noticed that Magellan's teeth were clenched tightly, his fists were also clenched, and his entire face became extremely ugly. Almost instantly, seeing Magellan's expression, Kizaru had a vague premonition that something big was going to happen. Afterwards, Magellan took out a phone worm exclusive to the director of Impel Down from his arms. The news from the phone worm was the reason why Magellan took a huge risk to meet Kizaru. Impel Down, something happened not long ago. One of the 7 warlords of the sea who appeared suddenly, Blackbeard actually used the marine warship to deceive the Impel Down guards, forcibly broke into Impel Down, the deep sea prison, and carried out an unprecedented riot. Participants, Blackbeard Teach and 2 of his minions, and the Straw Hat. This unprecedented riot in Impel Down caused Impel Down to be imprisoned on the 6th floor, and almost all the vicious guys from the old era and the pirate era fled. Although Impel Down immediately activated the highest level of alarm for all staff, the prisoners on the 1st, 2nd and 3rd floors were successfully suppressed by the prison guards and the troops who came. Advertisement. But there are still many troublesome guys on the 4th and 5th floors who also escaped. And it is currently known that the guys who escaped from the 6th floor include the original Shichibukai, Sand Crocodile, Lock Doll, the original Shichibukai, Sea Man, Jinbei, World Destroyer, Burndy World, Evil Government King, Abaro Pizarro, Genzuki Hunter, Katarine Diame, Giant Battleship, San Juan Dire Wolf, Big Wine, Basque Chote, Shinigami, Poison Q and so on. Although the specific personnel are still being determined, each of them is almost the most vicious criminal known in the world. More importantly, according to the report of the Impel Down personnel, most of them have chosen to follow Blackbeard and prepare to participate in the Summit War. Damn it! Magellan's entire face sank completely in shadow. After all, no one would have thought that in the secret of this Summit War, which attracted the attention of the world, there would be an ambitious guy with the idea of Impel Down. But now, both Magellan and Kizaru know that this is absolutely bad news that couldn't be worse. Most importantly, Marshal Sengoku was fighting Whitebeard at this time, and Kizaru could not inform the past of this news. Kizaru faintly felt that there was a bigger conspiracy hidden behind this war. But at this time, the entire summit war shocked the world. Marine Admiral Sakazuki was blown away. The body was suddenly blown away by the strong wind pressure, passing high above the heads of the crowd, and then slammed into the surrounding wall hundreds of meters away, spit out blood with a wow, and smashed out a horrible black crack. Big pit. As the dust and smoke dissipated slowly, you will find cold sweat oozing from Sakazuki's forehead because of the pain. Moreover, Sakazuki's entire right arm has obviously been broken. Blood continued to flow down the arm. Bagana, Admiral, advertisement. Sakazuki Admiral. Admiral. Marine was terrified when he saw this scene. Following the direction in which Sakazuki was shot, they saw the monster that shook the world, and they immediately realized that they should not ignore a monster that really affected this war. Damn. Guy. Akainu gritted his teeth, feeling the definitely broken arm. The heat is useless for Bai Ye, after trying the Great Eruption, Dark Hound, Crimson Dog Tooth, etc., which are powerful enough to destroy the island. Akainu made a stupid decision that he didn't expect. Use Haki. Haki is one of the most effective tools against any devil fruit in this world. The stronger the user's physical fitness, the more terrifying Haki's power will be. Comparing the size of the two, Akainu considered that Bai Ye possessed two kinds of demon fruit power, and guessed that he was probably a guy who relied heavily on fruit power. After all, there is such a guy beside him. So Akainu incorporated Haki into his moves and launched the attack just now. After that, Akainu suddenly realized that he was wrong at the moment of contact, and it was ridiculously wrong. My own Haki came into contact with the opponent, although it was only a short moment, but it was a kind of. The whole sky darkened, and in front of my eyes, it was the illusion that ordinary humans were facing a real dragon, which could not be shaken at all. Advertisement. The latter result is obvious. Haki's collision made Akainu completely convinced that this bastard is definitely hiding his strength. Bai Ye's size is not very big compared to the exaggerated height of 456 meters in One Piece world. But don't underestimate his physique because of this. The power of dragon-slaying magic is slowly mastered. This process gradually allows humans to have a powerful body that is not inferior to dragons. For Bai Ye, who has 100% mastery of dragon-slaying magic, it will naturally have this characteristic. After all, this is not a power system designed to deal with humans, but it is used to deal with real dragons in the fairy tale world. What's more, every dragon-slaying magic mastered by Bai Ye is 100% proficient. Compared with physical strength, even if Haki's ability is not used, Bai Ye guesses that only the state of Big Mom's Steel Balloon, plus Kaido Pervert's recovery power +1 may be equal to his physical strength. Of course, since this summit war has come here. Bai Ye turned his head and glanced at Whitebeard, who was fighting Sengoku fiercely in the distance, and rubbed his forehead. Because of this stupid friend who would become willful when he encountered the family domain. It seems that Blackbeard may not be able to wait for this big fish, and it is time for him to end this summit war. At this moment, whether it is marine or pirate, enough people have died in this war that lasted for several hours. It's time for someone to put an end to this summit war that is constantly shaking the world. 023. Bai Ye released the momentum. The war officially came to an end. Open black lens bracket 3/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The idea of Bai Ye preparing to end this summit war was born. Bai Ye glanced at the entire summit war. A terrifying aura began to appear on Bai Ye's body and gradually increased. This sudden sense of oppression made everyone in summit war feel it, and couldn't help but look in the direction of the explosive momentum. Wisps of golden flames began to appear on Bai Ye's body at this time, gradually enveloping him. With the cracked and spreading ice layer under his feet, the oppressive force emanating from Bai Ye's body is also increasing step by step, giving people the feeling of. The blue sky of the entire summit war suddenly began to slowly fall into darkness, and a real dragon was entrenched in this war, watching everyone with terrifying and cold pupils full of oppression. Feeling this momentum, even the marine rear admirals, some vice admirals couldn't help but gradually tremble, and the weak people fell down in groups. Fire Dragon Slayer Magic, full strength. Close black lens bracket. Yanlongwang mode. Bai Ye has never released his aura in front of everyone, because even Bai Ye himself was once frightened by his domineering aura. It was the sea kings of the entire calm belt, which were sliced like dead fish floating on the calm belt. That scene was like hell. Since then, Bai Ye discovered something. He himself should have Conqueror's Haki. In Bai Ye's understanding, Conqueror's Haki is more like a kind of suppression of higher life on lower life. He was born to be chosen by the world. Advertisement. In the world of pirates, almost all the people who have Conqueror's Haki are born with special qualifications out of millions of people. It is said that they are born stronger than ordinary people, but in fact they are nothing, just like 5 years old people like the current 4 emperors and who can destroy the village of the Titan tribe. If this principle is used, Bai Ye probably understands what is going on with his conquerors. Possessing 100% mastery of dragon-slaying magic, physique, aptitude, and strength, Bai Ye itself is equivalent to a dragon standing at the apex of almost all creatures, but it just appears in human form. Now, the aura released by Bai Ye, the oppressive force that makes people tremble like there is a real dragon in front of them, is not an illusion of feeling this aura, but that they are really covered by a shadow enough the entire summit war sky dragons watch. This damn monster, how could it exist in the world? Sengoku in the form of a golden Buddha felt the momentum and released a shock wave that was shattered by Whitebeard's shock ability. Sengoku stared at the source of the oppressive force, and couldn't help but roared at Whitebeard. Gu la la la. So, I can't always be the strongest. The new era will always move forward. It cannot be stopped by the remnants of the old era like you and me. Whitebeard laughed, and the cloud was shattered out of Sengoku's attack. He gasped and spoke. Damn Whitebeard. Sengoku shot with all his strength, the ice under his feet was sunken several meters, and then he attacked Whitebeard. Whitebeard's gaze was fixed, his arm muscles swelled suddenly, and the shock fruit ability appeared in his fist, which suddenly blasted towards Sengoku. Well done, Sengoku. That monster. I must leave. Suga. Damn it. On Shichibukai's side, Moria stared at Sengoku's ferocious battle with Whitebeard, and then at the illusion, dragon, that was no less oppressive than Whitebeard. Moria was about to collapse. Advertisement. Damn, this summit war is obviously a feast for monsters. Shichibukai of his level really don't want to be involved in it at all. Very strong. Hawkeye put down the black knife that was fighting with Foil Vista, stared at the shocking center where the summit war was falling like a dragon erupting, and slowly said two words. Hawkeye, the battle between us is not over yet, I won't let you disturb them. Foil Vista was shocked by the oppressive feeling that he didn't lose to his father in his youth, and when he regained his senses, he turned his gaze to Hawkeye. If the original Whitebeard Pirates saw the hope of turning the tide of the war, then now, Foil Vista can be sure that the balance of victory has begun to pour, and this summit war has begun to come to an end. This victory belongs to the entire Whitebeard Pirates. That man, who the hell is it? Hancock stared at the direction of the momentum that swept the entire summit war. She hadn't done anything since just now, and her attention was all on that man. She has an intuition that this summit war is about to begin and end. She came to participate in this war for the sake of the people of Jew Snake Island. If this war is about to come to an end, she will naturally not choose to fight again. Foo, that real monster is finally getting serious, this war should be coming to an end. Doflamingo here, feeling the momentum finally released, Doflamingo disconnected the controlled marine. At this time, his eyes were also fixed on Bai Ye. If you want to talk about this summit war, the one who can feel the true strength of Bai Ye is Doflamingo Mingo. After all, at that moment, Doflamingo saw a sense of oppression that was not lost to any Sea Emperor in the current new world. Advertisement. Marine High Platform. That guy, who the hell is he? I heard that he has double demon fruit power. Quick, Marine, catch him later. I must make him my slave. Keep it well. Kizaru. Kizaru heard celestial dragons shouting excitedly. The corner of Kizaru's mouth twitched violently, and he simply pretended not to hear it. If it wasn't that he was Marine Admiral, Kizaru really wanted to say, please shut up quickly, it would be the greatest help to Marine if you don't add chaos to this summit war. Now Kizaru is a little suspicious of what these celestial dragons are thinking. After all, what are they stuffed with? You don't want to die like this. 3 Admiral's original location here. Feeling the power, a man stood up slowly. That man, I'm afraid he possesses strength comparable to that of Whitebeard in his youth. Garp, are you ready to make a move? Crane Vice Admiral stood aside, staring at the oppressive feeling like a giant dragon covering the sky. Crane looked at the man standing next to him with a heavy expression. Marine hero, Garp. Afterwards, Crane saw that Garp didn't speak, but just jumped down, and Crane knew this man who would suffer from any choice since the beginning of the war, and he made a choice. Garp's shot represents the summit war that has shocked the world for several hours has officially begun to come to an end. 024. Bai Ye's Garp, the strongest in the old era versus the strongest in the new era. Open black lens bracket 4/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. That's Mr. Garp. Mr. Garp is ready to do it. Now, our Marine still has hope. Seeing Garp, some Marines couldn't help but say. Kirby, do you think Mr. Garp can handle that horrible monster? At a battle site in the Summit War, Belumbo looked at a pink-haired boy with trembling legs. It is because of Luffy's relationship that Kebi became Garp's disciple. Beru Meber didn't notice one thing right now. Kebi stared blankly at the entire Summit War, and Kebi already only hoped that this war would end soon. This Summit War has gone on for far too long and has taken too many lives. This kind of war, if Bai Ye hadn't intervened, Kebi would have stood in front of Akainu like in the original book. But at this time, for the entire Summit War, no one cared, let alone these situations. All the attention at the moment. It's all about Garp and that man who looks like a dragon covering the sky. The crimes of the new era, let this old man be your opponent. Step by step, Garp gave way to Marine collectively and came to Bai Ye. Advertisement. The injured Akainu gritted his teeth and wanted to continue fighting, but was stopped by Garp's eyes. Lava brat, if you want to die, I won't care about you. That said, this is the third time today that Akainu saw that kind of look that could cause fear. You, Mr. Garp, I'm sorry to trouble you here. Aokiji sensed the seriousness in Mr. Garp's words, and quickly smoothed things over. Then, between Garp and Bai Ye who turned on the Yanlong King mode. Gulp, gulp, and swallowing sounds kept ringing in the throat of Marine, who was not unconscious. Garp, that's fine, let me feel the power from the old times. Seeing Garp, Bai Ye clenched his fists burning with golden flames. It has to be said that Bai Ye was fascinated for a moment by the powerful power brought by the Yanlong King mode. And Bai Ye also knows that Garp is one of the people who must fight to end this summit war. That being the case, then come to a battle, so that you can feel your full strength. In this world, what level do you belong to? Admiral, 4 emperors, or a younger Whitebeard. Next moment, Garp's eyes narrowed, and the terrifying conquerors erupted from the marine hero. The monkey family has passed conquerors down through the generations, and it's getting a good shot at this time from Garp. The aftermath of the explosive collision between the two caused the whole world to shake uncontrollably. Black and red lightning faintly appeared along with the twisted air, and the terrible wind pressure blew everything away. The ice layer centered on the collision point, and collapsed and spread tens of meters away. Advertisement. Even the clouds above the sky faintly showed signs of being unable to bear the split. Even if the entire world is not in the summit war, it is aware of the suffocating horror. This is just the oppressive force of both sides. Subsequently, boom. Garp and Bai Ye shot almost at the same time, and a battle that brought the summit war to an end began. Garp's armed colored fist slammed into Bai Ye's burning golden flame fist. The explosion-level shock wave spread like a cannonball, and the sound wave made the people around it almost deafening. Both Whitebeard's and Sengoku's fights are forcibly interrupted. As remnants of the old era, the two of them knew best how terrifying the battle between the two in the distance was. One side is the strongest monster combat force from the marine era. One side is the strongest monster that cannot be stopped by the footsteps of the new era. This level of collision, even in the distance, Akainu and Aokiji gritted their teeth secretly. These two humanoid monsters. Boom. As expected of Garp. Bai Ye felt that the power from Garp's iron fist was not at the same level as Akainu, so Bai Ye thought of Akainu. However, considering that half of Akainu's combat power comes from Devil Fruit, and Garp is a pure physical peak powerhouse, it is normal that they are not at the same level in this regard. Garp and Bai Ye clashed with each other. Even though Garp was already prepared in his heart at this time, Garp felt the power that did not let him down in the slightest, and he was faintly shocked in his heart. Through the failure of Akainu's gymnastics just now, Garp knew that Bai Ye's physical fitness was extremely terrifying. Advertisement. But considering the opponent is demon fruit power, Garp figured in his mind that he has a chance to defeat this new age monster here. But now, Garp felt more from the opponent's fist. This is a physique, devil fruit ability, all qualified to stand at the level of the top of the world man. If the opponent escapes from this summit war, Whitebeard's life will be successfully kept here according to Sengoku's original plan. However, a new Emperor of the Sea will also be born. You are really strong. But if you don't use the power of the highly poisonous devil fruit, the physical skills of this old man will not lose to you. Facing the pressure brought by Bai Ye, Garp gradually showed the look of colliding with Roger and Whitebeard when he was young, and the strength of his fists was getting heavier and heavier again and again. Heavier. Speed, strength, and reaction are not like the strength that an elderly man should have at all. Bai Ye felt that Garp was not weak but strong, and continued to fight with Garp without any panic. This feeling of punches colliding and fighting freely made Bai Ye feel the joy of collision between the strong. Although Bai Ye had always wondered how Whitebeard and the group would stab each other without reasoning first, but now Bai Ye has gradually understood the feelings of this group of people. When the strength of all strong men reaches a peak, they all hope that there will be an opponent who can fight with them. Feeling the fall of Garp's iron fist, he actually took a step back slowly. The surrounding area had already been completely destroyed by the aftermath of the battle. Bai Ye let out a low growl, responding with no less strength. This kind of battle belonged to Garp, the only power in the old era that was officially certified to be close to its peak before Bai Ye crossed over. Boom. A terrifying battle between the two, suddenly. It actually caused the ice under the feet of the entire summit war to crack. Shocked by everyone, this is centered at the feet of the two sides colliding, and a spreading crack that spans thousands of meters between the two suddenly appeared. What's more, this abyssal fissure that spanned thousands of meters actually caused the ice layer under the feet of everyone in this war to step into destruction amid the violent aftermath of the battle. Percent 025. Summit War Retreat. The battle that decides the fate of the war. Open black lens bracket 5/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ka ka ka. Throughout the summit war, all the frozen seas of Aokiji trembled violently. One after another, terrifying cracks spread to all ice surfaces with the gushing sea water. Rumbling. As if an earthquake had occurred under their feet, everyone felt the ice layer under their feet constantly collapsing due to violent shaking, and their faces changed from dullness to panic. Hey, can this kind of thing happen? How strong are those two people? Damn, hate, get out of here. The ice supporting us here is about to shatter. Hurry up. Rumbling. The ice layer of the battle under the feet of everyone in the entire summit war has completely begun to collapse. Whether it was marine or pirate, panic appeared on their faces, they dropped their weapons and ran away in a hurry. Don't forget, this was originally a bay port, and if the ice here starts to crumble, well, there's an ocean beneath their feet. Damn it. That Garp guy. All Marines. Follow my orders and start retreating. Feeling the shaking of the ice layer under his feet like an earthquake, Sengoku gritted his teeth and could only abandon Whitebeard in front of him, and ordered all the Marines to take the wounded and retreat to the interior of the main port. Once the ice here collapses, Sengoku, as the Marine Marshal, will see what will happen here. Sengoku knows how terrible and serious the situation is even if he can imagine it. Marines above Rear Admiral can use moonwalk to leave. Advertisement. But don't forget, the ice here is a war with a scale of more than hundreds of thousands of people. It is impossible for all Marines to learn the superhuman skill of moonwalk. Otherwise, with the strength of Marines, Sengoku would never have spent so many days making so many preparations for this war. Retreat. Retreat. Marshal Sengoku has issued an order. All Marines, get out of here. Some Marine Vice Admirals saw Sengoku yelling towards the battlefield, they immediately dropped their opponents and started yelling. For a moment, the entire summit war situation became panicked. Gu la la la, did you give up the old man and choose to keep the Marine fire? Whitebeard saw Sengoku abandon himself while maintaining the golden Buddha form, and Whitebeard also put down Kong Yunchi in his hand. Afterwards, Whitebeard watched the battle between Garp and Bai Ye, which was not diminished in terror, but was still escalating. Whitebeard looked at all the Whitebeard pirates. Announced loudly. All the Whitebeard pirates. Listen to the old man's order, hurry up and take your companions and wounded to retreat to the ship. This is an order from the old man. Whitebeard's voice spread like a layer of sound waves throughout the summit war. Afterwards, in addition to Marco and others with the ability to fly, the captains of Whitebeard's various teams also chose to leave the enemy in front of them and began to retreat. Hawkeye, Dad has issued an order. It seems that our battle will have to wait until the next time. With a sound of jung, Foil Vista blocked Hawkeye with double swords and swung the black knife. After he finished speaking, Vista didn't attack Hawkeye, but turned around and picked up the injured Whitebeard Pirates members' retreat in the direction of the pirate ship. Rather than deal with the enemy in front of him as much as possible, he is still more willing to obey his father's order and take his companions to leave this temporary land that is about to collapse as much as possible. After all, don't forget that their Whitebeard pirates came here on a pirate ship, and they couldn't retreat to the land of naval headquarters even if they fell apart like Marine. So, compared to Marine, time is more important to the Whitebeard pirates. It looks like the end of this war is coming to an end. Hawkeye stared at the back of Foil Vista's rapid retreat, and turned his head to look at the constantly shaking crumbling ice around his feet. Hawkeye thoughtfully put the black knife back on his back, and walked behind him. Shichibukai's agreement with Marine is to help Marine's side carry out this summit war. Advertisement. But if the war cannot continue, Hawkeye will naturally choose to stop, because this summit war has nothing to do with him from now on. Hawkeye is involved in this war, except for the agreement, the only thing that can interest Hawkeye is the power of the monster standing at the top of the world. But at this moment, Hawkeye turned his head to look at the forces that caused the entire summit war to collapse in the aftermath of the collision. He has seen something more interesting. Damn. In this situation, my lord can finally retreat. Bastard. This war was a mistake from the beginning. The terrified Moria heard the word retreat, and Moria seemed to be finally liberated. While cursing, her body was running faster than any Marine, and she retreated towards the land of naval headquarters. Empress, you should retreat too. One of the 7 warlords of the sea, Shang stared at the pacifist legion and reminded the seemingly enthralled Empress. After finishing speaking, Shang didn't waste time. If the shock continues, I'm afraid that the ground beneath their feet will soon turn into the sea again, and it will be extremely dangerous for capable people to stay on it. The concubine knows, there is no need for you to remind the concubine. When the Empress heard the words, she came back to her senses, she nodded, and she didn't choose to stay here any longer. Subsequently, including Doflamingo, Shichibukai has collectively opted out of this summit war. Marine and the pirates are like a torrent of ants separated, the two sides quickly separated and retreated. This war has turned into a retreat where timing is of the essence. No one wants to be affected by the battle of the monster that shocked the world at this time. Fortunately, this big retreat was far away from the battle between the two monsters because both sides were far away. Therefore, the spread of the collapse of the ice under the feet was not very fast, which gave the two sides of this summit war enough time to bring the wounded. In this way, except for the Marine Vice Admiral level and Marco who has a few flying abilities, everyone can see that this summit war has come to an end. Dad, are you okay? Here at Whitebeard, several captains brought the wounded to the Moby Dick, and immediately ran to Whitebeard to help Dad. As the first group of people who followed Dad, they watched Dad's body become like this step by step, so they knew very well what kind of consciousness Dad had for this war. Advertisement. Whitebeard panted, stretched out his hand but pushed away the worried Diamond Chowzi and others, and said, Gu la la la, you guys underestimate this old man. Father. Joes and the others looked worried. Whitebeard looked at Sengoku, who commanded the marine to retreat in the distance, and said with a smile. Don't you want our enemies to see the jokes of this old man? Even if this era does not welcome the existence of this old man. The old man is also Whitebeard. Gu la la la. Instead of worrying about the old man, you should help others. Now other companions need your help more than the old man. But daddy, go, old man's sons. After Whitebeard finished speaking, he stepped forward, dragging his injured body on the rickety summit war towards the Mobity. Diamond Chows and the others were silent for a while, and gritted their teeth. They knew that they couldn't persuade the old man's personality, so they went to the place where the other wounded were, fulfilling their responsibilities as the captain and leading more people to retreat. A smile appeared on Whitebeard's mouth when he saw this scene. Immediately, Whitebeard turned his head to look at the battle between Garp and Bai Ye, and said to himself, Gu la la la, Bai Ye boy, your arrival is really a big scene, it's your blessing to give this a war that brings an end. Now, the fate of the old man and the Whitebeard Pirates will be in your hands. After saying that, Whitebeard took a look at the wounds with blood running down his body, and continued to walk towards the Moby Dick. At the same time, almost at the same time, Sengoku in the Golden Buddha form looked towards Garp and Bai Ye's fighting position. Although Sengoku doesn't want to admit it. But from this moment on, the fate of this summit war, whether it is marine or pirate, will decide the final result when these two monsters decide the outcome.